Hey, so listen, the Webby Awards, which are the Electronic Media Awards, the Academy of Electronic Media, that includes social media, websites, internet, and podcasts. They were announced last week, the nominations. Talking Sopranos was nominated for Best Podcast in Film and Television.
Woohoo!
Now, a couple of weeks ago, I made some jokes about a fake award. This is the real deal. I didn't know this was coming. I was making up things just to,
I think
as a
they've
joke.
been around for years, the Webbies.
They're a real thing. They're a big thing. And I got to say, now it's up to you, the fans, to decide the winner because you can vote on who you want to win this award. Who's the best podcast? We can actually motherfuck the podcast world and vote Talking Sopranos the best podcast in film TV, and it's up to you. I heard you're already building a mantle in your house.
I'm hoping. This is a big
right?
deal. Listen, you have an Emmy.
Well, you have a SAG award.
I have a SAG award, but
All
you
right.
have an Emmy. I won one award, Best Supporting Actor in the New York Independent Film Festival years ago. This is a big deal. We started this podcast at the beginning of COVID. We didn't really know what we were doing.
We still kind of don't.
We jumped into the deep end of the pool. The fans like what we're doing.
Right.
I mean, if you like what we're doing, we made you cry, we made you laugh, we made you
Cringe.
awkward, cringe, please vote for us. This is a big deal to us, for real. And the Office Ladies is they're a very good podcast, and we're up against some other people. But hey, this is a podcast about the greatest show in TV history. And here's how it works. You go to vote.webbyawards.com and vote for Talking Sopranos to win the best podcast in the film and TV category. The direct link to vote for Talking Sopranos is in the show description below. Okay? You could also go to our website at talkingsopranos.com and click the link on our homepage to vote. Every vote counts, so please, you, your friends, if people, they're about to start listening to the podcast, help us out here. Voting is open until May 6th. Thanks for your support, seriously. I mean, Michael, seriously, no joking aside, from the bottom of our hearts, you guys have been loyal listeners, and please keep watching, keep listening. Go to vote.webbyawards.com and vote for Talking Sopranos. And I got to tell you, we started this, like I said, we have done podcasts, but we never hosted them before.
No.
And I tell you what, I know this is putting the cart before the horse, as they say. I already kind of have my speech if we win.
You have a you have a speech prepared for winning. You want to share it?
I mean, I know it's silly, and we probably
No,
won't
I don't
win.
think it's silly.
Okay.
We may not win. I mean, listen.
I remember sitting.
I also say this: out of the nominees, we're the only independent. This is an independent
We're not
podcast.
with a channel.
No, this is basically a mom and pop shop.
Exactly.
Basically.
And so I remember sitting at the Emmy Awards when you told your Emmy speech. I couldn't have been more happy for you and proud, and I mean that. So here it goes.
You got a speech? Let's go.
I want to thank David Chase and the cast and crew of The Sopranos for making the greatest show in TV history. I want to thank Milton Berle's cock. I'd like to thank Pat Cooper for being one of the worst people on the face of the earth. I want to thank Robert De Niro for being a prick motherfucker. I'd like to thank the Jersey Devil. I'd like to thank the octopus from outer space for making our podcast, Talking Sopranos podcast, one of the best podcasts out there. Thank you. God bless.
That's a great speech, Steve.
What do you think?
I think some of that belongs in the, your
Smithsonian?
No, I was going to say your posthumous video. The
Did I miss
world.
anything? Did I leave anything out?
AS, you didn't. Actually, we have something from AS this week. I'll get to later on. You didn't thank him, But, the office ladies who are up against, a lot of you probably are fans of the show The Office, they're ruthless. They'll stop at nothing. They've hired private investigators to dig up dirt on us and go through our past. They got Pat Cooper going on their show. They're kind of whining and dining him for some reason. I don't know what's going on there.
We
So,
need
help.
our fans more than ever, folks. We need you. Please vote for us for the best podcast in TV and film at the Webby Awards. Please, we ask you. And if we did any of the above, made you mad, made you cringe, disgust you, whatever we did, please vote for us.
And we promise, if we win, we will never, ever mention Milton Berle ever again.
Ever again. Cocks
That's a
are
deal.
off the table.
Off the table.
Cocks are off the table if we win.
They're a deal breaker.
Okay. All righty.
Vote now. Vote proud.
Thank
Vote
you.
Talking Sopranos. What's happening? How are you?
All is well.
Glad to hear it.
All is well. Everything is good. Happy to be here.
In the studio. This is only our, what is it?
Third time.
Third time together in the
And
studio.
we're really, we're chugging along. This is 50 what episode? I don't even know. 55?
It is,
57.
57, yeah.
Wow.
We got about 30 left.
Wow.
If we make it.
I don't know.
If we make it out of here alive.
I don't know. No one fucking gets out of here alive.
But we got a very special guest today.
Oh, yeah.
A very important part of the show. And very important part of television beyond the show. Born in New York City, graduated magna cum laude from Harvard University.
That's big. That's big. He's the only Harvard graduate we've ever had on the show.
I guess so. I'm certainly not.
No. I'm a Brooklyn College graduate.
Well, that's pretty good. You got me beat. He's a very talented screenwriter, playwright, TV producer, director, has worked on a number of television shows. But most notably, besides The Sopranos, he was the co-creator and head writer for the show Damages, starring Glenn Close, nominated for 7 Emmy Awards, 3 for The Sopranos, 4 for Damages. He wrote 4 episodes of The Sopranos, including one of my favorites, D-Girl, and produced 20 episodes. Please welcome the very talented Todd Kessler.
Hey,
There he
Todd.
is.
How you doing, buddy?
Thank you for that introduction. Please don't hold any of that against me or hold all of it against me.
This is terrific. You're the only Harvard graduate. Wow.
Yeah,
Very impressive. I didn't know that about you. I don't know why, but I didn't know that.
it's a few lifetimes ago, that place. But yeah.
That's very impressive. Do you think, what did you major in at Harvard?
Well, it's a good question. I actually created my own major. They allow a small percentage of students once you're there to, if you want to do your own thing, do your own thing. And I wanted to write a play and direct it for my thesis. And the English department wouldn't allow that. So I had to create my own. And essentially it was in playwriting. And it really actually helped me get into a career because my junior year, a playwright David Rabe came out to direct a play that he had written, and I was his assistant director on that.
Wow.
And my senior year, Spike Lee came out and taught a screenwriting class, and he and I got along really well, and he offered me a job to come work for him in Brooklyn after I graduated. So he gave me my start, and then the play that I had wanted to write for my thesis, which the English department wouldn't allow, I did write it. And under this creating my own thing, and directed it and won an award at the Kennedy Center. And then Spike hired me to adapt that into a screenplay for him after I graduated.
So was that what he hired you to do? You also worked like with him in the office kind of thing? And
Yeah, no, he
production?
hired me as an intern, as an unpaid summer intern. And he was shooting the movie Clockers at the time. Do you guys remember that movie?
Sure.
Yeah, I was in it. I was.
No.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
you remember that?
Yeah.
I like Clockers. I think it's a really underrated movie. Actually, it's one of his better ones, for sure.
Yeah. And then basically out of that experience of writing the script for Spike, and his deal fell apart with the studio that he was with, and I was 22 and writing, which was amazing. And I had spent like 8 months writing this script, and then it was just sitting on a shelf. And I realized that, like theater, you learn so much from the doing, and screenwriting, you're just in a room alone and you have to win the lottery to get a movie made, to be so lucky. And so I then looked to television, and at the time there was a show called NYPD Blue, which had just started. And I thought some of the writing on that was phenomenal. David Milch was the head writer on that with Stephen Bochco, and the acting was great with Dennis Franz, and the directing. And so that got me interested in writing for TV. And it felt like a good training ground to see stuff get made, work with actors. And the next year I got a job writing on a TV series in LA. So
Which series?
it was a very short-lived show by the guys. It was called The Visitor, and it was by the guys that created or that did the movie Independence Day. So it was not it wasn't a genre that I loved. It was kind of sci-fi. And after that experience, it was like a 6-month job. And I was like, I wanted to write for NYPD Blue, but there were no jobs available. So I was going to come back to New York. I came back, and the week I got back, I got a call from my agent saying there's this show called The Sopranos. They just finished a pilot. Would I take a look at it? And my girlfriend at the time was very upset that when I saw it, I was like, this is the kind of thing I want to write on. And I flew back across the country to meet with David to write in the first season. And we had lunch, and at that point he had just had the pilot. They hadn't hired a writing staff, and they hadn't, you guys hadn't moved into the first season. And I was, we had a great lunch, and he was like, I think this can really work out, so stay in touch with me. So I stayed in touch with him, and then it ended up not working out for whatever reason. And I got a job on another show which became a big success, but also not really my taste, a show called Providence, which was on NBC for many years.
That was a good show. I enjoyed that show.
And while Providence was going on, I just stayed in touch with David, not ever thinking that the show, I was hoping that it would become successful, but they were writing scripts. And I said, I really liked the pilot, and would he mind just sending me some scripts as they wrote them? Because I'm a fan, just having seen the pilot. So he did. I think he sent me like 3 or 4 scripts. And then sometime during the editing of the first season, I think, I got a call from David, like, would I want to come in and maybe meet to write on the second season of the show? So that's when my entrance into the world began.
And so you left that other show. You left Providence, or that was...
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I actually had like a month left on my contract, and that show became a huge hit, and I was doing a lot of writing. I think I wrote like 10 of the first 13 episodes of that show.
Wow,
and
that's a lot.
It just wasn't my taste of what I wanted to really be spending my time. And so when I came to meet with David, he said, I'd like you, we talked about an episode for me to write, and he said, yeah, I'd like you to do it. And I said, great. He's like, okay, you have 3 weeks. And so I said, well, I'm under contract for another month at NBC. And he said, okay, you have 2 choices. You can either go to them and ask them to let you out of your contract, which they probably won't do, or you can write it, and most likely they'll never find out. And I was like, he said, go outside. And this relates back to the first episode of The Sopranos that I wrote. So he said, go outside. You have 10 minutes to think about it, and come back in and tell me the answer. So
that's what he said? Literally said that?
Yeah. I'm 25 years old, and I go out in the parking lot, and I'm like shaking. Like, what am I? And I call, we're in LA. I call my brothers in New York. No one's answering. I call another friend. No one's picking up. It's lunchtime or something. I don't know what it was. And so I go back into David, and he said, which one is it? And I said, well, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to go to my boss and ask him to let me out of my contract. And he's basically said, good luck. And I drove from Santa Monica to the Van Nuys Airport, which is where our offices were. And I talked to my boss, and he's like, go, just go. If that's where your heart is, go, go. And he let me out. And so in the first episode that I wrote of D-Girl, Michael, you'll probably remember this scene, but there's a moment where Tony says to Christopher, Anthony Jr.'s confirmation, go outside. You have 10 minutes to think about whether you're in or you're out. And if you're, and he goes out and sits outside and thinks like, what am I going back into the family or not? And that was directly from my experience that David made me do.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really funny.
Yeah. So that was, and David never said anything to me about it. I mean, I don't know whether he realized it or not, but I used, he probably did, he's a super smart guy. So, but I used that thing that he did to me that Tony then would do to Christopher.
Todd, so you were on the show season 2 and part of season 3?
Yeah.
Because you produced 20 episodes, right?
Yeah. So Terry Winter and I started the same time. And so that was through all of season 2. And then at some point in season 3, David basically, I think, felt like he didn't want to renew my contract for season 4. So he basically said, like, you have a choice. You can either stay and work on the rest of the season or, but know that you're not going to get renewed for what would be a 3rd season for me. And so I can't remember exactly how it happened, but we came to some kind of agreement where it would be, I would produce some of season 3 and then move off.
Was that like, did that kill you not to be on the show anymore? I remember when that happened. I remember we were at the Ear Inn. Remember the bar on Spring? Me, you, Jim, and probably Michael was there, and those that remember. But in those days, we were rolling along pretty good, and I remember us talking about it. And no, I don't think you were very happy about it. How could you be?
I was devastated, really. I mean, the show was my entire life. I was, very young. I started on the show. I met David when I was 25. I started writing on the show when I was 26. And, I put everything I had into writing on the show, being on set, being in editing, being in casting, the whole thing. And, ultimately, I guess something just didn't fully click as we got further into our relationship, me and David. And I got also very close. Jim became one of my dearest friends in life.
Yes.
As we worked on the show. And I remember the night when, a couple memories come to mind, but one specific one was the night when David basically said to me, like, you know what, I think it'll be, or the day he said, I think it'll be best if you're just not here. And I was just devastated. And Jim called me up after he finished work, and he's like, I'm taking you out. And we went, I think, to Pastis.
Yeah,
and we were sitting in like not a booth, but in, some kind of like, we were sitting at a table essentially. And he knew what had happened. And these 2 women came up to us, to talk to Jim. And Jim introduced me, and he's like, this is Todd. He just got fired today. And he was one of the writers on the show. He just got fired today. And I shrunk. Like, I was so embarrassed that is what he said. And then, they didn't care. And then we talked a little bit, they left. And Jim was like, you do not shrink. Like, you have nothing to hang your head about. And I just did to you what an actor did to me when I got fired from my first play. And like, you can hold your head high, and you did great work. And it was really one of those moments that, will forever stick with me. Of Jim. And I remember, Michael, you called and left me a really, really heartfelt message that was very meaningful to me. I actually recorded it, at the time we had voice
answering machines. Yeah.
Answering machines. And I kept it on a cassette for many years. It's in storage now, but it was, the show just meant everything to me. And so that separation was really painful. For sure.
I can imagine. Maybe Jim told those girls he figured maybe one of them would give you a mercy fuck or something.
Yeah, sympathy. Sympathy.
Come on, blow my friend. He just got canned.
So nobody was safe. It didn't matter if you were an actor who could get whacked or a writer. It didn't, we all were, our fate, dangled by a thread on that
but that's
show.
also a little harsh when you say it'd be better if you weren't here. That's a little harsh.
All of those things that, I've gone on to create, shows and run shows, and the pressures that the person running the show is under. Everyone has different voices in their heads, what they're answering to, how they handle things. And when I look back, it was something that was really painful but formative. And
Sure.
those experiences just inform life, how you move forward, how you treat other people. It's never easy to part ways with people that, it's never easy to fire someone.
Well, of course, but I mean, but like you said, you get fired, you think it's the worst thing in the world. You go on to create an incredible show and a huge success. You took yourself off the mat and you fucking got back out there punching, and things worked out. Some people define themselves by getting fired,
And that's it. Yeah.
and that's that. And you curl up and you go, do whatever the fuck, and that happens. It didn't happen to you, thank goodness.
I was just going to say that in thinking back, it was such a formative time for me to work on something that, as good as the writing, as good as what we could do as writers, the actors made it better. And there was never a sense of like, I don't know if the actors can pull this off, so I'm not going to, when you're in network television land, at times you guys have talked about how you can swap dialogue between characters. On this show, you've talked about how it just doesn't matter. And you get network notes. I remember a network note I got on Providence was the father was played by the actor Mike Farrell from MASH. And he was a veterinarian. And I got a call to my office one day saying, we realized that in the testing, people really respond to puppies. So can you just start more shots with puppies and then pan to the actors? I was just like, it was not that. So the work on The Sopranos really reignited my faith that you could do something that was, for all the reasons that you guys have talked about, and for many of the reasons that the show became successful. It was doing something that wasn't trying to be successful. David was trying to entertain himself.
Right.
And in doing that, you get so specific that it becomes, it broke every mold that there was for television, and so unique.
Todd, let me ask you, which listen, I've pitched shows, and me and Michael pitched together, and I've sold shows and blah, blah, blah. I honestly think that, this is nothing profound, I'm going to tell you. A lot of these network executives don't know a fucking thing. I mean, they really don't know jack shit. And that's why that maze, they're constantly changing, because of a note like that, or some ridiculous note where they feel they have to say something to you. I mean, do you ever doubt yourself when you get a note from someone and you're going, oh, maybe they are right. Maybe I should do a puppy, or do you just say, fuck this. I have my vision. This is what I'm doing. Like it or not, I'll go to battle. I mean, do you find that? Have you found some network executives where you thought they gave you great notes and made your script better?
Yeah, there definitely are some people out there, and I think that the executives who, in my opinion, the executives who I think are the most productive in terms of helping shows are the ones that support the vision of the creator. So they can offer, it's like a director on set. When you're working with a director, if a director comes in and tells you how to act a scene, you're kind of like, that's not helpful to me necessarily. But if a director, after you do a take or two, gives you something else to think about, and you're like, oh, I hadn't considered that. And, then you incorporate that, not having anything to do with how to say a line, but just, remember that I'm making it up. Remember that your grandmother's dying in the hospital, and that's something could be on your mind. That's something that supports a character. That's something that supports a vision for a show. So there definitely are executives out there that are helpful. They're just few and far between. I remember David, when I first met with him at that lunch, one of the things that he said to me was that it was his aspiration that Sopranos would be the third part of a trilogy, starting with The Godfather, Godfather 1 and 2 at the time, I guess, and or maybe 3. I don't think he was thinking about 3, but the Godfather movies, Goodfellas, and then The Sopranos. And
That kind of
he said,
happened.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know if he mentioned that, if you guys have heard that before, but
No.
I was sitting there across from him and I'm like, I just came from a meeting where they, were talking about puppies and he's saying this, and it's like, how can you not want to lean into whatever that's going to be? It may fail. It may go no more than one season, but that's what the aspiration is. And so
Yeah.
finding executives that support those kind of things is crucial.
Did you go right from The Sopranos into Damages, or were there shows in between there?
Yeah, there were a couple of shows in between. I worked with Michael Mann on a series that we did in Los Angeles called Robbery Homicide Division that starred Tom Sizemore. It was just ran a half season. It was somewhat inspired by his movie Heat. And then I had an experience on a network show, creating a network show that they ordered, and then they network heads changed, all of that kind of stuff. And it didn't move forward. And after that, I was like, you know what? I want to create a show that wouldn't be for network TV. And that became Damages. And a lot of what was in Damages of the character that Glenn Close played was inspired by people that I had worked for and with, including David and Michael Mann and several others. Just these very powerful people who are somewhat there's things that can make them powerful, a level of narcissism and ruthlessness and paranoia and egomania and all of those things. It's not a one-to-one creation, but thinking about someone who's a very powerful person and a young person going to work for them, and will the mentor train the protege to be better than them, or bring them along, or will they then feel threatened by them? And that was the beginning of Damages.
What was your first episode? Was D-Girl?
Well, the first episode that I got writing credit on was D-Girl, or the first episode, when I came on the show, David, I guess, you guys, or Michael, you would know better than me, but in the first season, David was on set a lot, I guess, or more than he had been after. He directed the first episode, and then he was on. He had more of a presence on set, I think, in the first season.
I think so. Yeah.
It's a long time ago to remember. But when I came on, because my brother was an actor, and I just had a different facility potentially with actors, David asked if I would be willing to be on set and kind of be his eyes and ears on set. So while the first episode that I wrote was D-Girl, so anyway, I was on set a lot, basically, and then doing rewrites of other people's episodes, so uncredited rewrites, which is part of what being on a staff is. But D-Girl itself, and I heard Terry talk about it. David gave Terry and I episodes to write as kind of trial episodes. So D-Girl was a trial episode, and initially I wrote it for Quentin Tarantino instead of Favreau. And I did a lot of research into the way that, Quentin Tarantino, who's, now actually, much more known than he was at that time, although he was well known, but his personality is more known now. And then it turned out that either he wasn't available or he supposedly didn't get it. And then when John came as a possibility, I loved that idea because he has such a great sense of humor and playfulness, and was totally game for, somewhat lampooning himself.
No, he had no ego about that. He was very cool.
And you also wrote University, which was where Tracy, the dancer at the being, Ralphie kills her. And that got a lot of blowback. Was that surprising? Did you know writing it that this could be a potential problem? Yeah,
I mean, that was pretty intense, but that wasn't one that I was the main writer on. So that may have been one where a bunch of us we all shared credit, so we all did some writing, but Funhouse was the second season finale that David and I wrote together, and we wrote it in a way that I had never co-written something before, in that we came up with the story. Basically, it was my slot to write the finale, and we weren't sure whether Nancy was, she was in failing health, and we weren't sure whether she was going to be able to act in the episode. And so I went to David and said, so much of the show is about David and his relationship with his mother that, you know, if he wanted to write the episode, you know, that was fine with me. I could understand that, because it may be her last episode in the series. And David said that, you know, he really appreciated it and that he thinks he did want to write it. And then a week or two later, he called me and said that he wasn't going to be able to write it alone. So would I write it with him? So we came in and broke the episode, came up with the storyline for the episode. And then he said, all right, do you want to take the first half or the second half? And in the first half of that episode, if you remember, there's a lot, Tony has food poisoning and when he has the talking fish and a lot of stuff that's pretty subjective. And I felt like that would be better for David to take. So I took the second half, which ended up being an amazing experience to write, including the scene where Pussy gets killed on the boat.
That's a great scene. Fantastic stuff.
Thank
Really
you.
good.
And I ended up writing that scene. We had a week to write the whole episode, and I ended up writing that scene on Thanksgiving morning, you know, from probably like 2 a.m. to 7 a.m, wrote the scene on the boat. And then a little bit later that day went to Thanksgiving with my family. And I will never forget, my oldest brother like took me aside at some point. He's like, are you okay? And I said, what do you mean? He's like, it kind of looks like your eyes are sunken into your head. Like what is going on? It was super emotional to write, you know, the killing of Pussy. And I didn't want to tell him, you know, that I'm fine. I just wrote, you know, I had to write this intense scene. But that was a really rewarding experience. And then David and I were both nominated for an Emmy for writing that episode.
Yeah, that's a
good
tremendous.
stuff.
Oh, I mean, all these episodes, the D-Girl and Funhouse and University are some of the best. But Funhouse, yeah, it's a very emotional. It was for the guys, you know, to shoot that stuff too, man. It was very heavy.
Yeah, and I also remember, we were out in Atlantic City. Not in Atlantic City, on
Asbury
Park, sorry, yeah. And, you know, it was so like cold and desolate, and we stayed in that hotel.
Yeah.
That they like open floors for, I mean, it was all just creepy and weird. I think, didn't you in the middle of the night go to Atlantic City, Michael?
I did. At like 1 a.m, I was bored, and I called the limo and had them drive me to the casino. And it was like the week before Christmas, or like days before Christmas, so that there was nobody in the casino. And I sat and played blackjack, and it was one of the most depressing moments. I was all alone. It was near Christmas. There's nobody in the casino. I had lost, and I had to get back.
Why didn't you ask someone else to come with you?
Everybody was asleep.
I would have gone.
It was really late.
It
was hard. That was a horrible idea. It's one of those things that seemed like a good idea, and then when
Tony would have came.
You get there and you realize
Tony would have came.
Okay, this was a big mistake. But yeah, that was a fun trip. That hotel, we stayed there like a year ago. It's kind of been revamped.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stayed there. Yeah.
We did a show there.
Tony Sirico ever break your balls about killing him off? Any threats from him?
He made it very clear there were 2 things we could not do. One was kill him off, and the second was ever touch his hair. So
or make him a rat. That was not permissible either.
3 things. I remember in the second season there was an episode where he can't sleep, and there was a whole thing about 3 o'clock. I don't remember which episode that was. And so at some point, you know, was it Mel was the hair guy? I can't remember. Wanted to, you know, make his hair like he had been sleeping. He's like, don't. He's like, he was like, you cannot touch my, can't touch my hair. Like, don't touch the wings.
Not until
No, it took to Pine Barrens. He finally let loose. No, he had a whole. He would wake up at like 3 a.m. if he had a 6 o'clock call. Yeah, because it had to air. He
didn't blow dry.
He didn't blow it. He would air dry it.
Natural.
And he would do the hairspray, make a cloud that would just fall slowly onto the hair. Never put it right on the hair. It was there was a whole art to that hairdo.
Yeah.
Both in its creation and its maintenance, both of it.
His brothers were around a lot, which were, you know, it was nice to meet those guys. And, you know, I have 2 brothers. He at least had 2 brothers. I'm not sure. So yeah.
Well, he's got
Carmine,
and he's got a brother that's a priest.
Yeah, the brother that's a priest. Yeah,
he's got a brother that's a priest. Now I remember the last time I think I saw you, we were in Vegas, right? Your brother was with us. Jim,
I think so.
you. We did an appearance in Vegas
Oh,
at Bally's.
At Bally's, right.
You said
Yeah.
you think so. You were there, Todd. Trust me.
I have a lot of those. I
you
think
were
so
there.
too. I mean,
I saw you
a
there.
lot of these memories. When you were there, I think so.
You were
I
in the
don't know.
lounge. I don't think you were married then. How long
Yes.
you been married?
Well, I've been married. It's coming up on 2 years, but I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
with my wife and I have been together for over 10 years. So
Well,
It was before that.
Way before that.
It was before that.
way before that.
What's next? You got anything happening next?
Yeah, I'm have a couple of things. One is actually the inspiration of it is my friendship with Jim. It's a show that I'm going to do for Apple, and but the actual story of it is about Christian Dior, the designer, and the parallels between Jim's life and Christian Dior's life are really spectacular. So Christian Dior launched his fashion house in 1947, right after World War II, when Paris and Europe were all decimated by the war. And he was 42 years old and became an overnight success and had a 10-year run and ended up writing an autobiography 10 years in, saying that he had two parts of his personality, the extrovert salesman and the introvert creator. And the introvert creator hated the extrovert salesman. And it's taken him 10 years to understand that he needs both parts of his personality. And he looks forward to the next chapter of his life, understanding this now. And, he was one of the most famous, people in the world in that 10 years, on the cover of Time magazine and everything. And then he went on vacation a couple months after publishing the autobiography to Italy and died of a heart attack at age 52. And
Wow.
Jim,
Really?
yeah,
Jim died
And-
at 52 of a heart attack as
on
well
vac-
in
on
Italy.
vacation. Yeah. And Jim had just had a daughter and was looking forward to the next chapter of his life, and also had this kind of, overnight success, quote unquote, where, there had been few television actors who had the renown worldwide that Jim, had as Tony Soprano, but also feeling somewhat trapped by the role. People still say, even on the podcast, people intermix, Jim and Tony. They say the same thing. You'd be out with, Jim, and people wanted to meet Tony, and Jim was not Tony. Like, Michael, you're not Christopher. You guys aren't. But people want to meet that person. And Dior felt very trapped by his success. I think Jim, in many ways, felt trapped by the persona that the world wanted him to be. Anyway, so it's an exploration of that. But in that time in Europe, after World War II, there were all of these, like Coco Chanel, Dior, Balenciaga, Balmain, Pierre Cardin was Dior's first tailor. Like, there's this group of, names that we all kind of have some familiarity with, but we don't know the people behind them. So it should be really fun.
Sounds very
Fantastic.
interesting. Yeah. And, did you ever offer Jim a role on Damages?
I don't think we did. He came to our parties. He came to our premieres and stuff, but no, we didn't. I think I don't remember all that. Yeah, but we didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic did some episodes for you. I know,
Dominic was great. Yeah. Dominic was really amazing on the show. It was very, very fun to work with him again. And and it was also great to do a show in New York. It's so much fun to do. For me, I love New York, and I made a decision to live here. And if I have to go to Los Angeles for work, I come back to New York, and just find it really inspiring to be here, be on the streets. And so to then do shows in New York is amazing.
It's fun. Yeah, no doubt. Always.
Well, Todd, I couldn't thank you enough, man. I appreciate it. Congrats
great
on
to
your
see you.
baby. And
Thank you.
hopefully I'll see you sooner than
Yeah,
later.
man. Thanks for coming today. We really enjoyed having you, man. All the best.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Good luck.
including me.
Thanks a
Todd
lot.
Kessler.
Todd Kessler, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
All
Todd
right.
Kessler. He said you're nothing like Christopher, but he didn't say I wasn't like Bacala. Did you notice that?
He glossed over that. He just.
I caught that.
I caught it too.
I don't know if you
It
did.
was, it was
In other
obvious.
words, I'm just as fat as Bacala. No fat.
You're
suit.
Bacala.
That's it.
I do a podcast with Bacala. That's what I
it.
tell people.
Yeah. So
It's
my wife calls me Bobby at home.
I do a podcast with Bacala.
There you go.
That's it.
Let's take a break. We are back, season 5, episode 4. All happy families.
All happy families, talking about the mob families and the Soprano families, I guess, and the unhappiness. It's a line from Anna Karenina by Tolstoy. The first line of the whole book is, all happy families are alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
The first one aired March 28, 2004, written by Toni Callum. And this is her only episode that she wrote.
She plays Angie Bompancero on this, so she's
Big
done a
Pussy's
lot of
wife.
episodes. She's going to be on the show. We're going to have her as a guest. She was also in one of my favorite movies, The Wanderers.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she had a
Okay.
role in that. Directed by Rodrigo Garcia. It's the only episode he directed. He's also the son of Gabriel Garcia Marquez, one of the greatest writers ever, pretty much. Best known for 100 Years of Solitude and Love in the Time of Cholera and Autumn of the Patriarch and those books. And
I
he's,
never met him because I wasn't in this episode.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
He's done a lot of stuff. He directed episodes of Carnival, 6 Foot Under, Bull, Party
Yeah.
of 5, produced 48 other TV shows. He wrote for a bunch of different series, so sorry I missed you. Maybe down the road.
Yeah, he's and a really good guy. I enjoyed working with him a lot. He was really right on the money, man. He's good. He's good with actors, and he's a really good filmmaker.
Here we go. Soprano house. AJ drives up and down the driveway.
Now, how old were you when you learned to drive?
And
And where did you learn to drive? In Brooklyn?
Well, I learned to drive in Brooklyn. You had driver's ed back then.
I know what that is.
But the teacher, David Towell,
You remember the driver's ed
yes,
teacher?
he's a friend of mine. I introduced you to him. He was also my JV basketball coach. He was in charge of driver's ed, but if you paid him, you got your blue card. You didn't have to go to the class.
Great.
So I got the permit and all that, but I didn't know how to drive, so I had to take lessons. So that was a real imbecile move on my part, thinking I'm getting away with something, but I don't know how to drive. So we took the outside lessons. I guess I got my license at 17. I failed it the first time. I went down to Sheepshead Bay. That's where you take
where
the
you did the
driving
test?
test.
Oh.
I failed it the first time. I hit the curb on the parking, and I got it the second time.
But now, did you have a car in Brooklyn? Or
No,
you
I
didn't have a
didn't. My
car until you
sister
went
had a
out to
car.
Vegas?
Yeah, my sister had a car.
And you'd borrow her car sometimes?
Borrow a car. My brother had a car. I borrowed them. And then I bought a car, a Javelin, AMC Javelin. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I bought a car for $900.
Here,
It was a
in Brooklyn.
69 Javelin, and I drove that to Vegas. And I'm not lying. We left June. Took me 7 days to get there. So the end of June, and the air conditioner, I swear it sounds like a joke, in New Jersey, the air conditioner broke.
So
We drove cross country.
the whole way. No AC.
No AC. And we went south because I wanted to go to New Orleans. And we went south, and we stopped in New Orleans for 3 days and fucked off there.
You told me
And,
about
you
that
know,
trip.
Yeah, we
that
had a
sounded
good time.
like a fun trip.
Yeah, 69 Javelin. I had it for a while in Vegas. I had it for a year or so, and then it just completely shot.
I mean, you know the story. I didn't know how to drive, and on the pilot, I smashed the car. So they said, when you come back, if the show gets picked up, you have to get your license. So I started getting lessons. The guy would come to my apartment in Manhattan, pick me up, and then I get behind the driver's seat in Manhattan and start to drive. It was crazy. It really was. I mean, it was really hard.
That's how my daughters learned to drive. I didn't teach them. They
But
did
that's
the
how
same
I
thing.
learned. I failed. I think my first test was in Red Hook, Brooklyn. I failed. Same thing. I hit the curb with the tire. Then the second test was up in Yonkers by the raceway, not far from where I grew up, and I passed.
I got to tell you
Past
something.
that.
I'm not a good driver. You know that. I'm also a terrible passenger.
Have I ever been in the car with you driving? I don't know.
Yeah, we drove in Vegas. We went to the Hoover
Right,
Dam.
you drove me there. Yeah, but you're a bad backseat driver.
I'm a bad backseat driver. I'm better when I drive because I know I'm in control. But I got to tell you, to drive in Manhattan is fucking tough, really tough. I don't care who you are, how experienced you are. It's insanity here.
I got kind of used to it because then in 2007 I bought a car for the first time in my life. I was 41. As we had a house about an hour north of the city, weekend house, vacation house. So we had to get a car, and I used it a lot in the city. Like if I had band
but it's
practice.
just crazy. I mean, even when I go to work, they pick me up. I mean, you got a lot of bicycles now, more than you ever did.
Well, the bicycles. Now I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this. Bicycles are a big problem in Manhattan.
And delivery drivers,
they go really
bikes.
fast. They're electric. They go the opposite way of traffic.
Yeah.
They don't stop at red lights. They go on the sidewalk. There's a lot of safety issues with bicycles.
A lot of chaos.
Huge. And I know, it's good for the environment. It's a good way to get around. But man, because you cross the street, if it's a street that's one way, like Columbus Avenue goes south, right? Yeah. So you think you get the green light, you're going to go, but there might be a bike coming up the wrong direction.
Of course.
And they don't want to stop at the red light.
But, you've got the delivery guys.
And that's a motor, and those go really fast.
On the electric bikes. And then you have, the real bikers, the real guys, with all the outfit, with the with the whole bicycle gear and stuff.
Those guys are
they're
safe.
mean.
No? Oh, they're mean.
They're mean. If you're walking on the West Side Highway, it's both. Sometimes you got to share, and they could be mean, yelling and stuff. They're very aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're aggressive cats. But I do not drive in Manhattan.
I've driven in Rome. I rented a car in Rome, drove from Rome to Abruzzi, and I also drove in Palermo. No. Italy's the same as us. I drove in Palermo. That was a little crazy, in Sicily. But I did rent a car in New Zealand. They're on the wrong side. Or to them, it's the right side.
How was that?
Well, my wife met me there for a week, and I rented a Jaguar for the weekend and drove up the coast. And you have to keep saying to yourself, stay to the left, because your instinct is to go to the right. There's also tons of roundabouts in New Zealand. So you got to get in the roundabout, go to the left, stay to the left. It's very...
Why do you do this to yourself? Who needs this stress?
I wanted to go away for the weekend.
But you could afford someone to drive you.
Yeah, I don't always... I'd rather drive myself than have somebody drive me.
Really?
100%.
Me, never.
Especially when I was living in Santa Barbara, if ever I had to go to LA, LAX or something, I would much prefer to drive. I want to play my stuff on the radio. I want to take my time.
For me,
and not worry.
I know a lot of people go, I'd rather have a plane and a boat and a thing. And I had a driver for a few years at the end of The Sopranos. There's nothing more convenient to me because I hate to drive. I don't need that stress. The stress to park, stress to drive. I'm cursing people the whole fucking way.
I'd rather walk or take the subway than be in a car.
Well, the subway is... I don't like taking the subway, but at least it's convenient.
I like it.
Except for these psychos fucking throwing people off platforms now.
Well, nobody likes that, but
that's what's happening
but
here.
You could get killed in a guy could be driving and kill you anyway.
Well, I know that. It's a crapshoot. Now I got to worry about that.
Always something to worry about.
I'd rather not drive.
Listen, you could die doing a podcast. You could just touch the mic and get electrocuted.
I could only fucking hope.
You could touch the mic and short out and
I could only fucking hope. And then you know what happens from there. Steve Sharippa motherfucks the world is on.
Then I just continue on my own, or what do I do? Get a co-host and wrap this up? What do I do?
That's completely up to you.
That's up to me?
You want me to leave it in my will? Put that in my will. I'll call my attorney Monday. You want me to just do the replacement?
No, I don't want to do that.
I could do the replacement.
Well, we know what we're going to do in addition. The big show.
The big show's coming, folks.
All right.
AJ drives up and down the driveway like a moron. Kind of like a moron. Really. Or as Tony Sirico would say, like a nitwit. like a fucking nitwit.
They like to make you out to be a moron. Didn't he say that to
Yeah,
somebody?
he said that to me. They like to dress you up like a moron.
All right.
Tony B and the twins are in the pool now. Tony B is looking around, obviously jealous.
Like,
look what this guy got.
This could have been my life, maybe.
Look what this guy got. I got my 2 kids in the pool. He's schlepped them over there so they could spend the day in the pool. He's looking. Look at this beautiful, McMansion with a beautiful backyard and a beautiful pool, probably on a solid 3/4 of an acre to an acre of land.
I mean, it would be his ideal life, basically, if he had this for the kids. The kids, that's Dennis and Kevin Aloya. They play Jason.
He's drinking a Heineken. A lot of people always ask me, like on TV or whatever, what's in the bottle? What are you drinking? Is he drinking beer? Is he drinking this? It's probably water.
Heineken, because it's tinted glass, so you can't really tell what it is.
Ginger ale.
In a glass, they have non-alcoholic beer if it's in a glass.
Could be if they want that flavor. Usually it's water. If it's supposed to be red wine, it's cranberry juice or a concoction. If it's white wine, it might be apple juice or
white grape,
apple cider, sparkling to be champagne. If on Blue Bloods, if I'm drinking, it's Manhattan Special. Everything that I drink, when I have to drink,
it's in like a coffee cup?
It's in a coffee cup or even in a soda. It's like in a soda thing, it's Manhattan Special.
And also, to add insult to injury, he hands Tony B this, old-fashioned crank drill. It's almost like hand-me-downs.
And there's a little slide, like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
He gives him this drill. I don't know what happened to the DeWalt, which I already had remember what happened. He gave it to Brian.
As an excuse.
As an excuse when they were talking about the HUD stuff some episodes back. He goes inside. He says, everything disappears when I'm not here. He goes inside. She wants to talk to me.
She reveals that the twins were born from sperm smuggle. Tony did it. Tony Soprano smuggled or set up the smuggling of his sperm out of jail. So it was not a conjugal visit, which sounds very elaborate.
So what do you think? How does that go down?
I have no idea.
He masturbates in a cup.
Ideally,
gives it to Tony. Well, I mean, how does that? How do you smuggle that?
I'm sure
in a balloon.
They probably had a doctor help them out. They probably had a doctor say, you put it in this kind of receptacle, put it in the, they have those medical coolers that they have organ replacements and
this
stuff.
This is in jail. What are you doing? How are they doing that?
They probably had some kind of receptacle for it that was going to be sterile or something. No.
I don't know. He ejaculates in something, and Tony smuggles it out.
A gum wrapper?
Something.
What do you think? It had to be.
I don't know. And then what? She injects it in
like a turkey base.
A turkey base. I don't know. Exactly.
You think it was a whole homemade insemination thing? No, they must have had some medical help. Come on.
I don't know how that happens in jail, but Tony, he says, it's the least I could do. Tony made it happen. Mr. Wegler wants us to come in and discuss AJ's lousy academic performance. Mr. Wegler is the Billy Budd. They talked about the book, correct, at Columbia, at Meadow when they had the dinner party.
Yes, Meadow.
About the gay and all that, and she said he doesn't know what he's talking about.
And then they start kind of blaming each other for like their parenting and him not doing well in school. You kept him out at the Nets game. You're too strict, and they kind of subtly...
You indulge him. I'm the prison warden. You indulge him with his iPod and the drums. You didn't even look at the classified. You bought him a brand new drum set. He tells her he's not seeing Melfi anymore. You're not the only one saving money. He's lying.
He's lying. And he's that, which is a little dig why, at her for being separated.
Let me tell you something. There's no two sets of bills here. Tony is living at his mother's house.
He's not paying for that.
He's not paying for anything there, or besides.
What does he eat? Pizza and Artie brings over food.
So the bills in the house. There's no cutting down on anything. The bills are always the bills.
Right. He was paying the bills on that house anyway, like the electric bill, I'm sure.
So it's all bullshit. There's no cutting the tightening up the purse.
It's the same expenditure.
Complete lies. Yeah. And he is enabling AJ every which way.
But he's saying that to dig at her because he doesn't really want to be separated.
Of course.
Right.
Tony says, you know, you want me to encourage extracurricular activities. That's what she told him to do with AJ, you know. And he says, that's why I don't need to take your shit anymore. I don't need to listen to you. That's why we're separated.
Right.
She goes, that is not why we're separated. Lorraine's house, the lady bookmaker.
That's Lorraine is played
the lady
by
Shylock.
played by
Chris Caldovino plays Billy.
who Lorraine Caluzzo is
Lorraine Caruso,
that's
Patty.
her name. That's played by Patty
Darbanville.
Darbanville. The song "Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes," a classic pop hit by Edison Lighthouse, playing. Nice touch.
She comes out of the shower. He starts whipping her with the towel like they're in the locker room. Did you notice that? She's running
just
away
to
naked.
humiliate her, and then she sees that her lover Jason is dead.
Dead.
Joe Peeps, played by Joe Maruzzo, comes out. It's a disturbing scene. I mean, it's
Absolutely,
really,
just flat out kill her.
and boom, and they tell her why she's being killed because
She's been
of
kicking up.
kicking up to little Carmine and Johnny Sacks, the boss, whatever. But there's that great cut right to Phil Leotardo in the car, looking very cold and very hard.
I was surprised Phil would be there waiting for them.
Phil seems to be around when there's some dirty shit to get done.
Yeah,
I think he kind of likes it.
He's not to be fucked with. Phil's a mean cat.
He's a mean guy.
He's a tough, mean guy. Angelo meets with little Carmine and Rusty,
Social club. This is the first scene we see Rusty Milio, correct?
which is Frankie Valli.
Which is the name that I came up with.
Oh, really?
Rusty Milio was a guy who owned a candy store near where my grandfather lived, where it was kind of a.
So
I
you
think
did you did it as a tribute to him?
It's kind of a bookmaking place at one time. I don't know if it was in the end. I don't know why I called him Rusty, though. I don't really remember. But
Rusty says Phil's a pimple. It's goddamn Johnny Sack. It's his message that he had a captain, the fucking animal. Angelo sincerely feels bad. It looks like that she's dead.
yeah, I guess they were all. I guess they were close.
Yeah, I'm telling Carmen we go all out. We steamroll right over John. The guys on the streets of Brooklyn and Queens still welcome us as heroes. He's saying that John is so disliked. Let's just fucking kill him. And, you know, no one will have a beef with it. The other families in Brooklyn and in New York. Frankie Valli, who we've had on the show, is a true legend, a terrific actor, a good guy.
He's good in this scene here too. I liked what he
And
did
Rusty and little Carmine are pissed. They're pissed off.
Cut to the interior of the Crazy Horse back room. Christopher says it's a declaration of war. Tony Soprano doesn't really want to hear that. He's thinking everybody's overreacting. Feech walks in, big hugs and kisses. Feech immediately goes into that. In my day, the top spot would go to little Carmine, and Tony's not really into hearing this stuff.
He doesn't want to hear his bullshit. He's always with the stories and the ingratiating and back in the day, and he said it should have went to little Carmine unless he was crippled or there was something really wrong with him.
And then he does something kind of, actually really out of line when Adriana says, "You need anything else?" And he says, "If we need anything else, one of the kids will come out." And Tony doesn't like that either. Right?
One of the kids, meaning little Carmine
Benny,
or Benny.
He doesn't like maybe Christopher.
And I don't like what Christopher gives him a dirty look. That he's talking, my compliments about Adriana. He's complimenting her. What is this? Silvio, on her way out, tells her something, sweetheart, and he pinches her cheek. He asks her to do something.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but then
about the music.
The music, he remarks to Tony when the doors open. He says, "You hear? It's one of Steven Van Zant's songs."
So he asked her. Okay, so Silvio asked Adriana to play that song.
Right, but it's the Lost Boys, which is Little Steven.
Understood.
It's called "Nobody Loves and Leaves Alone." It's
Features really annoying Tony. He's telling the stories. Benny, little Carmine like to hear them talk, and he
Tommy Pinto, I beat the longshoreman over,
and
beat
then
him to death.
Silvio, the same story that when Tony and Jackie Aprile robbed the card game. That still sticks in Feech's craw a little bit.
Absolutely. It does.
Feech, Tony should be dead by now. He was scared. He's putting Tony down again.
Yeah, he's putting him on a spot. He's putting him down. He
calls him Don Antonio.
Yeah, little dig. He tells everybody to leave, and he says he wants the card game. 11 years I ran it, plus I got it coming to me. I did my time. Tony caves. All right, give you 20%, but you got to rent the house. Feech doesn't even like that. He's a little bit like, all right, you're squeezing me a little bit. And then
Silvio, when he leaves, Silvio says he's
a Struns.
He's a Struns. He's an egomaniac.
And a busybody, which is true.
And then he says he's old. How do you think that makes him feel? And it goes right into a great cut of the brochure of Botox
that Carmela's
looking at. Are you a fan of Mudvayne?
No.
Sounds like some
they broke.
band.
I don't.
It sounds like a band you would listen to.
No, it's not.
No.
No, that's how little you know about my musical
tastes. I thought I knew you. We've been friends for like 20-something years, but I thought I knew you till we did this podcast. Then obviously I don't fucking know anything about you.
We had to go deep on this podcast and really reveal ourselves. Mudvayne's a heavy metal band that broke up a number of years ago, and he wants to go see them. And
he's cocky. He's a fucking nasty kid. I told you, this is very strange that a son is usually very protective and loving of the mother.
Oh, not always. That age, they're rebelling. He wants to go to the concert.
Were you nasty with your mother at that age?
At times.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't. You got a mean streak in you.
I was a teenager.
That doesn't mean anything. That's not.
I was a grumpy teenager.
Not every teenager is mean.
A lot of them are. They're grumpy.
But no, not with the mother. There's something wrong there.
Well, he wants to go to Manhattan to a concert with his friends and then stay in a hotel. Now, would you let your kids do that at that age?
No.
No. Neither would I. We got to take a break. We'll come right back.
All right, so we're at the Soprano house. Carmela's looking at the Botox brochure. AJ arrived. Can I go to the Mudvayne concert or not? I'm trying to think of a reason to let you stay overnight in New York with your friends. I'm afraid it's not going to happen. She turns him down. He's got a big attitude because she won't let him stay. So-and-so's mother is going to set everything up. Well,
they always say
your
that.
Mother.
They always
Believe
try
me,
that.
I know, he's got a real attitude.
Mother. They always say so-and-so's mother, they're going to let him go, and there's always some kid who gets to do everything.
Yeah, but I don't remember, honestly, maybe I'm wrong. My mother is not around anymore, unfortunately, to tell us, but I don't think I was mean to my mother. As a teenager, My father, I didn't get.
I was just,
my father, I didn't get along
and surly. That's how kids are. They get. I'm not saying mean like that. I never cursed at my mother.
Yeah. Well, that we see later on. That's a big no-no. Card game,
card game. This is the executive.
You got Vito.
Game.
You got Hesh.
New Dr. Fried, right?
But then the old Dr. Fried comes back.
But is it supposed to be the same character, right?
Yeah. So John Plachette takes over for Louis Stadlin. But in season 6, Louis Stadlin comes back. So what I'm going to make out from this is they called Louis Stadlin, who had played Dr. Fried in numerous episodes. He wasn't available here.
He did a lot of Broadway.
He wasn't available, so they got kind of a guy that looks like him.
Right.
With glasses and kind of the same demeanor, and he did one episode, and then Louis Stadlin comes back later on. Was they trying to pull a quick one on the audience? Maybe. Interchangeable Dr. Fried.
You got Lawrence Taylor, who was one of the great linebackers of all time, right? In football, fantastic.
Joe Gandolfini is a huge New York Giant fan. knows everything about the Giants, knows all about that stuff. Very big sports guy. Was the biggest Lawrence Taylor fan, and he got to
be in the
do
scene
with him. I'm sure he was very excited about it. Hesh is there. Hesh doesn't really say much. Dr. Freed. Bernie Brillstein. Great guy.
Passed away in 2008. I liked Bernie a lot. I got to hang with him a couple of times in L.A. He was a lot of fun. He produced or executive produced Hee Haw, The Muppet Show.
Oh, yeah.
The Blues Brothers movie, Saturday Night Live. I mean, he's a real legend.
I think he managed Jim Henson.
Yeah.
From way back when. In the later days, he wasn't taking on any new ones. I actually talked to him about representing me. I got to be pretty friendly with him at one time, but he had Wayne Brady towards the end. He really had scaled back.
So he can't have you and Wayne Brady?
Well, obviously,
he
didn't want to.
Competing against each other for roles, or what?
He obviously didn't want to represent me.
I can't take you on, Steve. I got Wayne Brady. I don't know.
His big client also was Norm Crosby.
Norm Crosby, the king of malaprops.
And he would, Bernie was he started out as an agent. He was a sweet guy. He told me when I first met him where to buy, when I moved to New York, because we were constantly going to premieres and going out and doing all kinds of shit to buy suits. Rochester, the Fat Man store, which is no longer there. Rochester, big and tall. He recommended the guy there. I went to see him, and I shopped there for 20 years,
Nice.
Bernie, his wife was very nice. So he got to play in the card game. So that was... it's a funny card game. Tony comes in, Feech is telling the same old fucking story. He's banging a girl with his toe.
And the maid walks in, and then he gets cut off. He's always getting interrupted, and he doesn't like it.
And they're all breaking each other's balls. The guys are laughing. Tony comes in, cuts off Feech's punchline.
Cuts off his punchline, which Feech doesn't like, and then kind of insults subtly, and Tony laughs it off. Tony B, isn't it high stakes? He says, no, thank you for not humiliating me. But this is...
Feech is very obnoxious.
Yeah, and the thing with Tony B, it's planting seeds that come later, where Tony B really starts to resent, resent Tony Soprano. But he says, how's Lady Luck treating you to Silvio? And Feech is like, Jesus Christ, how many times has this guy got to say hello? And Tony Soprano doesn't like that. And Feech...
Well, he's the boss. He also says when Tony goes, let me kiss your ring. Feech is a fucking irritant. Mm. He's like sand in your fucking underwear. He keeps on fucking irritating you.
Silvio puts down the cards. He's got a shitty hand. He says, this hand's from thalidomide, which became kind of a saying amongst poker players after they aired on The Sopranos.
And also, Silvio is a bad, sore losing gambler.
He is.
We've seen it too many times.
Yeah.
As nice as demeanor he usually has.
Not when he's losing.
No, when he's gambling, stay the fuck away. Guidance counselor's office.
Oh, Dr. Freed mentions the wedding here.
Oh, that's right.
He's married. His daughter's marrying a puppeteer from Children's Television Workshop. I'm wondering if that has some reference to Bernie.
Probably,
because Bernie Brillstein produced the Muppet Show, and then
he
Tony
also
says,
had, John Belushi.
Belushi. He says, Tony says, I didn't get my invitation, and
there's a little hesitation, and then Tony laughs and says it's a joke. He's saying, their dream is to have your vows in the New York Times.
They want to announce the wedding in the Times. That's a big deal for people.
At one point, that was prestigious. Now I think you could pay. You have to pay for it, maybe.
Oh, really?
Any Joe Blow could get in, I think, now. Did you have since you're a little highfalutin, were your announcement in the Times? Get the fuck
out of here. Highfalutin. What are you talking about? Highfalutin.
You're a little highfalutin.
No, I'm not. I'm under the radar, buddy.
Really? So when did that happen?
I've always been.
Maybe since you got back to New York, you're back a month.
I've always been under the radar. Before, I was living in the middle of,
You didn't have your.
I proposed on a Sunday, got married on a Friday. No one even knew I was getting married. It was very spontaneous.
And where'd you go, down to the courthouse?
Yeah.
Just the two of you?
No, we had some friends.
And you just went down there and someone marries you? How's that work?
A judge. Yeah.
A judge is there?
And we took a helicopter ride around the city. after, and then
And
we
who
had a
was-
little party
Who
at
was
the
your
bar
best
at night.
man?
Fernando.
So you need a few witnesses. Was Johnny V there?
I don't think Johnny was there. He might have came to the party.
Then you had a party at your bar.
Yeah, and then went to the plaza that night. And
That
we
must have
went.
been fun.
Yeah, it was like I said. It was very spontaneous. You know, it was
Did you go on a honeymoon?
a few months later. I went to India about 3 months later. But now, how would you feel as a parent if your daughter calls you on Monday morning and says, "My fiance proposed last night. We're getting married Friday." Be hard, right?
I think it'd
You're a
be-
very traditional guy. You're like, it's like Leave It to Beaver growing up in your house. It sounds like, it's like, it's like Dick Van Dyke. You're,
My family now?
yeah. You're an old school parent. You're like
Yeah.
very conservative when it comes to those things.
Well, listen, my daughters,
And it worked.
my
God
daughter,
bless them.
I
They're
got two
good kids.
beautiful
They're great
daughters. They're
kids.
very nice, Bria and
You got a
Sierra.
great family.
She's getting married. Because of COVID, everything got fucked up. And they live together, and I'm okay with that.
But now when they're at your house, can they stay in the same bed?
Absolutely not.
Even though they live together?
Absolutely not. When they come and visit my house in California,
They sleep in separate
separate
rooms.
bedrooms, I say, don't let me have to come up and check.
And that's because of your religious beliefs.
Fucking religious.
But what?
I don't want to hear what goes on up there. What they do in the privacy of their home is one thing. This is my home. When they're married, probably I'll let them sleep in the same room. I will. But
what's the
I know
difference?
they live together. They both live with their boyfriends. They're both with them for years.
Couple of years,
long, One's with them 4.5 years.
Oh, that's
but they
great.
can't when I'm there. That's all. I don't know why. I don't feel comfortable.
And it's your house, so you should feel comfortable.
Would you want me coming to your house making all kinds of noise for my
But
wife?
why are you assuming that they're going to make noise? I mean, what's that assumption? I mean, like you don't think they can find a modicum of discretion?
I don't want to think
while
about
they're
it.
staying at your house.
See, I don't want to think about it, so they just sleep in separate bedrooms. That's
There
all.
you go. That's what I mean.
End of
It's-
story.
Yeah.
It's not like Leave It to Beaver, but
it's like-
I grew up in an insane. My house was crazy. 7 of us in a shitty apartment on welfare. My father sat on the couch for 35 years. I didn't want that. I want some level
want a
of
nice
normalcy.
house,
We
yeah.
have fun. I want a nice life, and I don't want that shit. That's all.
You don't want that dysfunction.
I don't think it's necessary.
Guidance office. That's David Strathairn.
Great
He's
actor.
a really great actor. He went to Williams College where he met John Sayles, the great American director, and they wound up doing a bunch of movies together later on, like Return to the Secaucus 7, Brother from Another Planet, City of Hope, 8 Men Out. David actually went to clown college for Ringling Brothers Clown College and spent 6 months in a traveling circus as a clown.
Really?
That is true. He has starred in the George Clooney directed movie Good Night and Good Luck, where he played Edward R. Murrow. He was in Lincoln, Spielberg's movie about Lincoln.
So many good things.
Secretary of State Seward. Yeah, he's been in a lot of good stuff.
So
And
good
is a
stuff.
very,
He's
very
on Billions now.
Billions.
On Billions. He's really good.
A fine actor.
He's telling them that we're getting into crisis mode here. You see him when they come in, he's complimenting. You have the ticket to go to any school anywhere.
To this one kid, he says, in that blues folkloric studies in Mississippi last summer, it almost has a community service spin to it.
Yeah.
Which is, now he's worried about that getting this kid's verbal SATs past 760, and AJ's struggling with like a 500. That's,
his SAT scores are in the 900s out of 16.
Right.
Which I think is bullshit anyway. Because I think many a good kid is not a good tester.
Oh yeah,
And,
I don't think so. It shouldn't, be so important to
Exactly.
acceptance, and I think that's kind of on its way out. The importance of the SAT.
Yeah, but it should be even more so.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you know some kids look great on paper? They look great on paper. Oh my God, look at this club, that club. And then you meet the kid, and the kid's a fucking
A zero.
A zero. A kid doesn't look you in the eye, looks down at his feet, no person.
Because
no
a lot of those
personality.
resumes are crafted by the parents. Make sure you join this club, and we teach you to take this after school, and you do volunteer work, and you didn't try to create this profile that looks great to all these colleges.
I think it's better, a kid, common sense, social skills. He'll do fine. They put their, listen, you go to college, you get out of it what you put into it. You hit the books, you'll be just fine. You know what I mean? But the SAT scores, they've got these people stressed. Look, we paid all kinds of money for the tutors and everything. What does it all mean now? It means nothing.
No, I think it's a very unfair way to judge kids.
I
always did.
He says, do you think we're hitting crisis mode here with these grades, and time is of the essence? He says, Tony says he's trying his best. Tony's making a lot of excuses here for him.
Yeah, Tony kind of wants to write this off as, he's not a great student, but he's a good kid, and we got to find a place for him. Now, so his Ramapo and Trenton State are the ones he thinks he can get into, and the reach schools is University of Arizona State.
Which are the biggest party schools.
They
two of
are,
the biggest
right? That's
party
what I
schools
thought.
in the country.
That's what they're known as. Those are his reach schools.
Yeah, those are the two of the biggest party schools in the entire country. It's one big giant party.
Right.
And
then he says football is your ace in the hole, which I don't get because there's no way that he's going to play college football.
No. And he says, why would it better for him to see a psychologist on a regular basis? Tony immediately says no. People use it as a crutch. Tony's anti-therapy now.
All of a sudden, yeah, he's anti-therapy. They gave AJ a test, some kind of psychological test, and then he hears, well, if I'm learning disabled, I get unlimited time on the SATs.
Yeah, which is true.
Did you take the SATs? Did they have them back then?
Yeah.
Are you a good test taker like that?
No, I did terrible on them. That's why I went to a city college. I did terrible. I was a bad tester. No tutor, no nothing, no preparation. No. I didn't do well. No. But that's also what I'm trying to say. There's also kids blossom later.
Sure, and they have different different skills that you can't measure on a test.
It's just like private high schools. Listen, we had a friend of mine. Look, my daughters went to Poly Prep. I've talked about it. We had a friend of mine. The son was there. The daughter was a good kid. She was friends with my daughter. I guess she didn't do so well on the test. She didn't do well. They rejected her.
The sister of the kid.
Sister of the kid going there, nice family. And they rejected her. And they called, and I called over there. Because I had done numerous favors for this fucking headmaster jack-off that he turned out to be. And I called him and I said, I need this favor. I need you to do this for me. Because I was raising all kinds of money. We raised $200,000 for the school, with all kinds of shit. I let them auction off. I gave them 2 tickets to the
Premiere?
Finale. The last Soprano finale, Radio City, and Rockefeller Center went for $10,000. So I said, I need you to do this favor. They'll get her whatever help she needs, and if she can't keep up, they'll take her out of the school. I mean, for some reason,
did they let her in?
Yeah, and she's fine. Graduated college, working, no problem getting a job. Did great in college, a really good college. Blah 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 blah. And you are not going to let this kid into your school. So your stupid fucking rules.
Right. Because of a test.
Because of your test, or somebody got a hard on for her, or she didn't do well in the interview.
Or for the family
or
or
some
something.
asswipe admission person didn't like her,
Made a shitty decision.
Exactly.
Well, he brings up that whole people use it as a crutch. What happened to Gary Cooper? Which, in this argument seems really out of touch.
He's reaching.
Irrelevant. Yeah. It just doesn't seem to make any sense.
And then he also came in, as soon as he sat down, what did he do? Call the teacher Daddy-O? What's that, Charlie Brown?
Yeah, he's
Charlie
trying to
Brown,
relate to him.
The Coasters.
He's trying, yeah. Right,
Had the Coasters work for me in Vegas.
He's trying to relate, I don't know what he's doing. He's really out of touch. Carmela says, no, he's just lazy. we'll get him a tutor.
Yeah, and also then they hear on the way out there was a car accident. One student died, one's in a coma, and the kids are crying, and it's
And it makes him, now that he's asking for more independence, it just makes that whole thing going to the city and being alone a lot scarier.
Dr. Melfi's office.
Terry Winter waiting in the waiting room once
Terry
again.
Winter.
This is
Had a
not the
nice-
first time we've seen him as a patient of
Nice
Melfi's.
little role. He's credited as Terry Patrick Winter, and she sent sitting there with a big basket of a gift, and it looks like Melfi already knows where it came from.
Yeah. Well, he's already sent the Prince of Tides gift bag. Gift basket.
Soprano House. AJ studies with the tutor. He's talking about Google numbers and algebra.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Where in your life have you ever used these things? Now, listen, folks, I get it. School, discipline. It's about discipline. It's about using your mind. It's about, responsibility, all these things. But algebra, where you go down on yourself and
Yeah,
shit
I
that
think
you never
the problem
need.
is you're trying to always fit everybody into the same mold rather than let the kid determine the mold. Because not everybody can apply themselves to these things or has the capacity or has the patience, but they may have so many other things that can be cultivated during this time rather than being forced.
Absolutely. I mean, what's it? Is it Paul Simon? All the shit I learned in high school, it's a wonder I could think at all.
Kodachrome, right? Yeah, that's a good song.
I mean, really. I mean, what nonsense that you're up late nights and panicking and panic attacks for what?
And then Tony shows up with this Xterra SE fully loaded, which seems like, he's saying it's a motivation thing. I don't know.
It's got the Nissan. It's got the sensors in the seatbelts, and the Nissan has got a new triple very safe Nissan philosophy.
And he says 6 CD changer surround sound, and Carmela says, "I feel safer already."
Yeah.
That's a great line.
It's this is a result, obviously of the other student's car accident.
Right. So the belt tightening is all bullshit. Like
That's
you
all
said.
bullshit.
Yeah.
And he says, it sits in the thing, and he's nasty to his mother. Right in front of Tony. If I was Tony, I would have backhanded him right there.
Yeah,
I would have
deserved that.
backhanded him. Look, boom.
Yeah, that was bad. Because he says, SUVs eat up more of the ozone and get that shit at school. He was like, well, it's going to sit in the garage till you get a C. And then she says something. He says, I'm talking to him,
Yeah,
not
you
to
heard
you.
your father. I was talking to him, not you. It feels bad. I mean, he's really getting to her here. Tony puts up. Why is Tony allowing that? I don't get it.
Well, he's being, he's throwing money at it. He's spoiling him. It's like he's thinking this is going to be, like he says in the next scene, it's a motivational tool, the carrot at the stick. Carrot in the stick, which is, I don't know.
She's saying he could be so hateful. He was always the sweet one. And then with the bills. Why should I pay for that? He took the speakers out of the movie room. This is nonsense. I mean, he's nickel and dimey, causing problems. He's trying to make things hard for her, obviously,
He's trying to spite her.
AJ was always the sweet one. Now he's so hateful. Tony says, well, it was like Meadow. It was like watching an angel fall. Remember Meadow? She went through that.
Went through the nasty phase. And, he says, I need the speakers for the media room. What for what? My friends. At least I have friends. And she says, you have flunkies, not friends. They compliment your shoes, say you're not going bald. They're your boss. They kiss your ass and laugh at your jokes. And he says, what do I care? I'm not running. I'm running a business, not a popularity contest.
So what about Artie? Like Artie's his real friend, Kupferberg's office. She reads the note from the basket. Tony needs some spelling.
Yeah, he spells foul with a W and regard with an I or whatever, but he's...
Well, this is a direct thing. Obviously, he didn't do well at school. That's why he doesn't give a shit about AJ doing well at school. But this is kind of embarrassing, for Christ's sake.
This is embarrassing.
And Elliot, when he says, I called you a name, and Elliot's got to repeat it. For no reason, he repeats cunt.
Right.
He didn't. There was no reason. She goes, yes, Elliot. There was no reason for him to say that.
Yeah, I guess.
Soprano basement. Carmela's doing the laundry. Dr. Wigler calls.
Now, this call, is it really about strategies? Is he gauging interest here?
I think he's gauging interest, but I don't think she's catching it yet.
He knows they're separated because they mentioned it in there.
But I don't think she's catching it yet.
She's not catching it because she's hell-bent on helping him get into college, right? She wants it all to happen, so she thinks this will be good for AJ. If I sit down with him, he can help. So then she tries to sit down for dinner, her and AJ. She tries to relate to him, talking about the Beatles and birthday. She calls it Happy Birthday, but it's really called Birthday, and the drum solo and Pete Best, and she ain't getting nowhere with him. He don't want to hear it.
But she's just trying to make conversation.
Yeah.
She's trying to.
She
did a little research,
and he's
just
shits
miserable.
on her.
He needs a fucking punch in the side of his head.
So
you know who needs a punch in their face? A lot of teachers. Like, I look back, there was a lot of teachers that helped me a lot, especially in college. But you think back of some teachers, their arrogance, they put you down, they made fun of you when you were in junior high school, and they're just fucking, they
can do a lot of damage,
themselves, And a kid like a coach, they could do a lot of damage.
Yeah. No doubt.
It's
a position with a lot of responsibility,
And back then, like priests, like teachers, like doctors, what
they say is
whatever they said,
yeah.
That was, if a teacher said something, your parents took that to the fucking bank. If teacher said your son's never going to amount to anything, college is not for him, parents will tell you to go take the post office test.
Sure.
Because this fucking teacher, who knows what this fucking jack-off is doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Too much, kind of.
I went to school
pedestal.
to be a teacher. So I went
You
to
did,
college
right.
with all kinds of teachers. I student taught. I knew immediately this was not going to be for me. Because I told you, I wanted to throw the kid through the fucking wall.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Kid was a smart aleck, and I knew it, though. But I realized that.
Yeah.
I said, this is not good. This is not going to be for me. But, you see the teachers at the time, they were fucking getting high, doing quaaludes, fucking getting all fucked up. I'm going, these are going to be the teachers.
Hopefully they stop when they go to the schools, but who knows? Back at the card game in the hotel, David Lee Roth now appearing as himself in the card game, who I wish I was at. I wasn't there when they shot the scene.
Are you a David Lee Roth fan?
I am, yeah. I don't like, I only like the Van Halen that David Lee Roth was in. To me, it was not Van Halen.
I like Sammy Hagar's a good guy.
I didn't like him in Van Halen.
Have you ever met him?
I like Sammy Hagar. He's a
nice
guy. But Van
like him a
Halen
lot.
to me has to be David Lee Roth as a
Okay.
singer. He also was in, he lived in New York. I think he still does at times, but he lived here for quite a while when he left the band and was an EMT. Did you know that?
Yeah. And he also then had a radio show.
And he was, in ambulances going to, help people who were, sick or injured. Imagine you get, you fall off your bike and you get a concussion and you're in the back of an ambulance. David Lee Roth is treating you,
That's funny.
But he did, man.
Do you think he did it because he needed the money or to help?
Oh, no. He did it because he felt that it was a noble calling and
And what was his beef with... What was his
Well,
beef?
at first I think he had the solo career, which he did the Louis Prima stuff and the Beach Boys, and I think he wanted to do that for a while. I don't really know I don't know much about the band. I just liked his
I met
because Van Halen's over the top rock and roll. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he kind of embodied that.
I
just
met
liked
Sammy Hagar numerous times in Vegas.
Yeah, I was with you when we met him. We hung out with him.
And then another time I had met
He's
him
great.
with Drew.
He's a very
Great.
nice guy.
He was with Emerald. I was having dinner with Drew.
And he's friends with our buddy
Perot.
Marandino. Don Marandino, they had that.
Yes.
Cabo Wabo.
And he had the tequila, very successful. Now he has, I think, a rum, or he has something else. Very successful.
Yeah.
He sold that Cabo Wabo for big money. Yeah, big money. The card game, so Feech, this is where Feech is telling the joke about the accountant.
Oh, they also, Jimmy, that's Jimmy La Manna. That's one of Feech's nephews playing, who hooked Tony up with the car. He said he had to dismantle the GPS.
Yeah.
And Paulie says, oh, he's got his eye on the bigger picture. That's the first thing that Tony sees.
The Escalade.
The ass kissing.
The Escalade, Tony, what do you get with an accountant with a giant jet airplane, a boring 747, and they're laughing hysterical over not even a funny joke, and it's in slow motion.
Silvio, Paulie, and Vito are hysterical.
They're hysterical. Paulie's wings are way over the top.
They're flapping while he's
Unfortunately, the wingometer is in the shop again.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this would have been time.
I think it doesn't work in the studio for some reason.
Is that it?
That's what I was told.
They laugh at Feech joke, but not as much. You know what I mean?
And Feech is not.
David Lee Roth said, I used to write off condoms.
Which is hilarious. But what he does notice is that the guys are laughing, but Feech is not.
No. Feech does not like Tony.
Feech doesn't like Tony. It's very resentful.
End of story. AJ's bedroom, Carmela comes in. I've decided to let you stay in the city after the concert on one condition, no Hudson Suites. I talked to Med. She said you could sleep at her apartment. So she's going halfway. She's tired of being the prison warden, the bad person. She's going to bend a little, see if AJ would like her more. Kind of, that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's giving in to him. And
hoping that Meadows going to be a little bit responsible, and that was a
go to the concert,
big
stay at
mistake.
Meadows. You got to be back by 10:30 in the morning. Be back here. Stay at Meadows that night. Go to the concert. You know, she's going halfway with him. He should be happy with that. Hey, I get to go to the concert. Then I'm going to my sister to see you guys. But at that age, it's hard to say no. A lot of peer pressure.
Yeah. Big mistake she made.
Wedding parking lot.
Banquet hall. That's the Skylands Manor in Ringwood, New Jersey. The carjackers.
This is a great scene.
Carjackers putting it on the auto transport thing, and they're just going. These guys are serious. They know
serious, professional. They got guys with the ties. They're all tied up with those plastic ties, the fiberglass ties.
They're only getting the foreign cars.
The wedding he's doing, is that the horror?
I don't know. I don't know. You would know. That's your.
I think it's the horror. They got all female singing great music, which I love. Dr. Fried is up in the chair there. You know what they do at the Jewish weddings, and they're having a ball. They're all dancing, and it's funny that the one of the waiters goes to the band. Tells them, and they stop the music, and he's up in the air when he hears the news.
Right.
Dr. Fried is up in the air.
There's been a carjacking, and then there's the drummer does like a rim shot, like it's a punchline or something. It's very funny.
It's a great scene, and and very selfish people. Somebody says that we think he's broke his skull. The doctor comes in, but all they care about is the car.
He's worried about an SL Mercedes convertible that he spent a year on the waiting list.
Paid $30,000
just to premium to order the car.
That's when you have too much money.
So what does he spend on that car? $250,000?
I don't think back then, but still.
100?
Yeah, too much money you got if you could do that.
And that's all you care about.
That's where you live secondhand, that you care about impressing people. That's what that's about. It's not about that he needs this car. He wants to show people he got it before everyone else.
Right.
Look what I got.
Right.
That's what this is about, living secondhand, Look what I got. You don't have it. I got it. They don't feel bad about the wedding. They don't feel bad about the bride.
valets that got their ass
Poor
kicked.
bride, greed, inconsiderate. Shitty. Oh, who's stupid about the Regal, keeping his Regal now, the one guy says. You know. It does not.
They left the Regal.
Not a good look. Meadows' apartment.
They're watching Frida, that movie about Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, played by Salma Hayek, who also produced that movie.
Alfred Molina.
And Alfred Molina. It's a good movie, actually. And they're living in separate houses. A kid asked, why do you live in separate houses? Which I guess is reflective of Tony and Carmela at this point, right?
Yep. AJ calls.
That's the Manhattan Center, or the.
I went for an audition there.
Is that also the Hammerstein? The Hammerstein Ballroom is the same thing, or no? It's a different place.
So. Yeah, different place. I went for an audition at the Manhattan Center, and I didn't get the fucking role. Just in case you were wondering.
It's on 34th Street, right?
No, it's up higher. Oh yeah, up 34th Street. Yeah.
What did you audition for?
I don't even. Shitty movie. And I didn't get it. So there you have it. The things you remember. I can't remember the good stuff. I can't remember if you said, where'd you go for that? You got that role. That was a great role. Where'd you audition? I don't remember.
The failures.
But I remember the fucking Manhattan Center. Isn't that something? How it works?
That's how it works. That's what you choose to make it work that way.
Apparently. What did they say? Always invited to the funeral, never the wedding. Always invited to the funeral, never the wedding. AJ is breaking his promise. He's going to go to the Hudson Suites with his friends. He wants Meadow to cover for him.
Carmela's in the bath and calls
I don't want to get
Meadow.
any shit from Mom. You know, he says, I'm a dick. If I leave now, I'm going to look bad. So she covers for him. Finn and her are starting to get busy there.
Yeah.
Finn's a horny fella.
Yeah, well, that's
Young.
the age. Young, and then Meadow lies to Carmela and says he's here, he's asleep, and he's drunk. Carmela tries to chat, how's things going? She's like, we're in the middle of a movie, and gets her off the phone, brushes her off. Carmela's all alone.
Carmela was...
And very disrespected by her kids.
Carmela, well, I don't blame Meadow so much. She's trying to help her kid brother out.
No, but then she blows off, she asks how you doing, and she's like, we're watching a movie, like, can't be bothered by her,
Yeah. Well, if I was, me and my wife were starting to get a little frisky and you called, I would cut you off.
Well, I'm not your mother. I would expect that, but for your mother, maybe it'd be a little nicer.
Ma, I'm sorry. I'm about to get laid. Ma, I can't talk now. I'm about to get laid any
really?
minute.
Where are you doing it? Are you on the couch? Are you in the bed?
I take a Blue Chew. I'm trying to get laid, Ma. A Blue Chew tablet. Meadow's apartment. Meadow and Finn are making out. You know what's funny? When she was in the bath, she's relaxing with the candles. She's still thinking about her kids.
Yeah.
Gets up, makes the call.
That's right.
Meadow and Finn making out. Carmela calls. Why is your brother not answering his cell? He's asleep. I probably should be this, but he's pretty zapped.
Drunk.
I don't think she's not buying it.
I think she buys it, yeah.
You don't think so?
I think if she didn't buy it, she would have pressured her, because now she says, how are things going? No, she buys it.
Hotel room, AJ and his friends are smoking weed.
Out of a soda bottle, there's rap music, there's beer. One kid puked. They got a magic marker. They're gonna,
They got the Sharpies. They're getting
stupid.
They're getting fucking hammered.
They're getting stupid.
They are getting stupid with the, what is that? Smoking weed out of the soda bottle? I don't know what that's about.
I don't know. I never did that.
I don't know what that is. I've seen people smoke weed out of an apple.
An apple, yeah. I never did that either.
Yeah, I've seen that. About a Bing. Tony's drinking at the bar with the dancer. She's telling him she bought an easel.
That's Gina Lynn.
She's like, is she a half-ass famous porn star?
I think she's a famous porn star.
Famous porn star?
Yeah, for real.
She's buying an easel.
She's got a new easel and her oil. She's ready to go. And here comes Dr. Freed.
Is she like a porn Hall of Famer?
I don't know if she's in the Hall of Fame. I think she did a bunch of porn movies.
Do they have a porn Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
They should have a porn Hall of Fame.
I have no idea.
Maybe they should. Maybe we should do that. Talking Sopranos porn Hall of Fame. No?
Why? What do you mean?
Well, we went into
I don't even know.
Talking Sopranos
I
nursing
can't
home.
name 3 porn stars. I don't know.
Oh, no, really?
Maybe 4. I don't know.
Oh, really? Okay. You don't. You never watch porn in your life.
I have. I don't know who's who.
It's
though.
just me keeping the billion-dollar business going. It's
No,
me alone.
I don't know their names. I mean, I don't. You know.
You don't
I
look
don't
at
think
the name.
anybody does anymore. Do they? In the old days, in the
old days,
70s.
well, there wasn't as many. I don't think. Now there's a whole lot.
There's amateur hour.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things now. Now it's a
Amateur
whole.
hour porn.
It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. Dr. Freed rushes in. He's all freaked out. They stole the cars. I had to sedate my own daughter. I need your help before they're chopped. Ace's brother's Ben. He says, I'm garnished. What does he say?
That
Garnished
means like I'm a nothing. Now.
I'm in the doghouse.
Yeah, I'm in a doghouse. I'm nothing. In Osa's eyes, I'm nothing. You know, if I don't get this squared away, he says, Ira, it's not really. I'm not really in that business, Ira. Can't you do anything? Make some calls before it hits the chop shop.
And Tony's like, look, these people have insurance. He's like, no, you don't understand. This guy's obsessed. He paid the $30,000 premium. His glasses and his day book are in there. It's like a guy's lying. The guy's got his head cracked open. He's worrying about his
Now,
day
I
book.
want to talk about this scene.
Which one?
This hotel room scene, the next
Okay.
scene. AJ is sleeping on the floor. He's crazy glued
Half his face.
face to the rug. I mean, these kids are not only high, they're fucking imbeciles, because I was a kid and we got drunk and stupid, but I've never seen we never did anything like this.
No.
Shaved his eyebrows off.
No, we never did that.
And then there's a guy, all you see is his ass, and it says insert wood with a Sharpie on his bare ass.
Oh, and an arrow pointing
Yeah.
to where
So,
it should be inserted.
Did this guy go to acting school? Did he audition?
I have no idea.
Did they say, let me draw, see what
Maybe
your
they had a
ass
body double.
looks like?
Stunt.
I mean, I'm being dead serious here. Ma, I got a role on The Sopranos. Really? What are you doing, son? I said, you haven't seen with Tony Soprano? Well, with AJ. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you don't really see my face. You see my bare
But
ass.
it's memorable.
Do you know who it is?
No. I don't know who it is.
I mean, this is humiliating that someone...
For you, it would be, but for some people, they don't mind doing crazy stuff like that. I wouldn't do that.
But the makeup guy had to write, I don't know if it was Steve Kelly.
Somebody wrote on his
Somebody
butt.
had to write, insert wood on this fucking kid's
Somebody
head.
wrote
It's a
on.
young
Now,
ass.
would that be a prop department or makeup department
don't
or
know.
wardrobe? That's interesting. Because, I don't know if you know this, there's certain things that there's divisions of labor,
Yeah.
like props are anything that an actor handles. Set dressing is, it might be something else on the table that the actor's not going to handle. Once an actor touches it, it becomes a prop. But it could be like a desk lamp that's set direction.
I don't know. But it's pretty humiliating. And it's a young guy, because that's a young ass. That's not an old saggy ass. That's a young guy.
Thank God.
I mean, and what kind of guys are pulling people's pants down and doing
I don't
this
know,
shit?
man.
What kind of fucking
I mean, but when
teenage
did that
boys
start?
are they?
Was that in a movie? Are they mimicking something?
I don't know. And they shaved his eyebrows.
I mean, these are
and
supposed
Robin,
to be your friends.
these are supposed to be your
Yeah.
friends.
I mean, I would never dream of doing that to my friend.
and there's repercussion when they go home. How do you explain that?
Plus, he's Tony Soprano's son, which is not.
And then, we talked about this with Robert Eiler. They wanted him to shave his eyebrows, and he decided not to.
They wanted me to shave my eyebrows when I did Basketball Diaries. I played a character with cancer, and I shaved my head, though, which I was okay with. But I said, no, I'm not going to shave my eyebrows, because at least with a shaved head you could work,
Yeah.
But I said, no. I didn't think they were paying me enough, basically. I mean, if you were paying me to stay out of work for the next 6 months or something while they grow back, it would be different. But
But,
whatever I was getting at the time.
How long does It take to
Eyebrows?
grow
I don't know.
eyebrows.
I didn't do it. They just did some kind of
Sometimes
thing
they
over
say
it.
it may not grow back.
I don't know if maybe. That could be true.
Now, the guy that got the marker on his ass, nobody's going to see that unless he shows it to them.
But, I mean, you could get that. I'm sure there's solutions that take Sharpie off. I mean, it says permanent, but there's
So who's
got to
gonna
be
do that
something.
for him?
Somebody's got to do that, too.
I'm sure.
Maybe the doctor.
I'm sure somewhere.
The medic.
I'm sure somewhere that kid has, and if you're out there listening to the podcast, let us know. He's got a picture of that. He had someone take a picture of his ass with that on it.
He signs them for people.
Maybe. And it's on his refrigerator like a magnet. Maybe. Insert wood. And I looked in the credits. It doesn't say insert wood guy.
No, it doesn't.
I don't
He
know who
must
that
have had
is.
a name.
But, I mean, and then to crazy glue? You don't fuck around with this crazy glue.
No.
These kids need an ass kicking.
Yeah. 8 to 16 weeks, so between 2 and 4 months to grow back eyebrows. That's like hair, I guess.
It's a long time, man. This is a mess. The whole
And
thing.
and they drew some weird thing on his head too, like
the other kid. There's the other kid.
But on AJ too, he has those
Yeah.
weird.
Weird, and his face was red. He looked terrible. It's very strange.
Very terrible.
Meadows' bedroom. Carmela calls. Meadow doesn't answer, which was a smart move on her part. Carmela's upset.
But then she does tell Carmela.
Yeah, but Carmela's very upset. She's on the phone. I told you I can't put you through to rooms 417. There's a block on the line. God help me if anything happens like those children. She does get through.
All right. Carmela calls, tells
very
Tony
upset.
she's
She's frantic.
flipped out. She says he hasn't come home. We don't know where he is. We can't get in touch with him. His other friend Todd came home already. She's freaking out. Tony's kind of saying, "All right."
She says, I'm not even mad anymore. I just want him to be okay.
Sure.
You know.
And then he, while she's on the phone with him, he comes home. It's shocking. She freaks out. She doesn't. She's because parents expect the worst. They assume the worst. God knows what happened to him.
You lied to me.
He looks really weird. His face is all kind of scraped raw from the glue.
She's
It's
screaming.
scary.
She's screaming. You
Sure.
lied to me. She's really frantic. He says, fuck you. You don't say that to your mother.
No, you can't say that to your mother.
I don't care how grumpy you are. You don't say that to your mother. And then AJ, she hurts her knee. She's chasing him up the stairs. What did you say? He gives her like a pathetic look.
He feels bad.
Car salvage yard. That's Vinny, the Teamster.
That's Vinny, who was one of the drivers on the show.
One of our Teamster
And,
drivers.
Vinny and
Nice
Christopher
fella.
discussing they got to get this Benz SL 55.
Soprano house. Tony arrives. Carmela's icing her knee. He lied to me, Tony, which means that they both lied. And Tony says that's what sisters do. She's covering for
He
him.
says, "What's different about?" He doesn't know exactly what it is at first.
Well, he comes down. AJ comes downstairs. He says, "Where is he?" She says, "He's sleeping." Not anymore. He's going to go up there, but he comes down with the garbage. Like he's going to start.
He's trying to make up for it.
Yeah.
What's different about you? Is there sexual proclivity with that teacher, poppers, and weird sex?
Where'd that come from?
He just expects the worst, I don't know. Every parent's nightmare. I don't
What
know.
teacher? He's talking about Wexler?
I guess so.
Because they think he's gay from
I
the
guess
thing.
so. Yeah.
He thinks he was in a hotel room with Wexler.
I don't know. No, that Wexler encouraged him to, through what he assigned, this kind of.
We
weird
don't do
sex. I don't
drugs.
know.
We're not so stupid dopers. He's just lying.
Lying.
Lying. Enough of your lying. Look, we don't do drugs. I am sick of your bullshit. Both of you. You could go live. Tony is letting him off the hook.
Yeah.
Tony's letting this kid off the hook. He's believing these lies.
He's
and this
kind of
bullshit.
minimizing it and just kind of, and it says, when we were kids, he's thinking that, we were crazy, whatever.
He should
Normal
be grounded,
shit. He
but
says
it's
this
not
is normal
the end
shit.
of the world.
Yeah. And she says he hates my guts. I did it because my need to compete with you clouded my judgment.
Absolutely. This isn't normal teenage shit.
It's stupid shit. Yeah.
I mean, these are stupid fucking kids. You shave your eyebrows.
Your friends, yeah.
So your friends. I mean, you're getting them in trouble. What are you doing? What's so fun about that?
Right.
You know, where is that fun? I tell you, there's a bunch of guys in a hotel room too. What the fuck? Where's the girls?
Yeah, that's their idea of fun, I guess, at that age.
Smoking weed out of a 7-Up bottle or Fresca, whatever the fuck that was. Tony's house. Tony, AJ, and Artie are watching TV. Eating pizza.
Honeymooners, $99,000 answer.
Hilarious
one of my favorite
episode.
episodes. My favorite. I think The Honeymooners is the only show I could say that may be better than The Sopranos. That's it. It's the only one.
Well, you like Seinfeld.
Not as much. I like Seinfeld a lot.
You think Honeymooners is the funniest sitcom of all time?
I think it's the best TV show, period.
Wow.
In my
That's
book.
a very tall order there.
It really is. But I still watch it, and I still am amazed. I've seen these shows so many times since I'm a kid, and I still can laugh at them. How is that possible? Like out loud laughing. I know every friggin' line they're going to say. They have hardly anything on set. You know, it's just so minimal.
Didn't they used to do it where Fox Morning News, that's where they used to do the Honeymooners, I believe.
Where on the studio?
On 60-something Street on the east
they
side.
Really?
Where Rosanna Scott.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe so. I could be wrong.
Wow.
I'm sure someone will correct me
That's
if
pretty
I am.
cool.
But I'm pretty sure that's where they did it. Yeah, up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right on that floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the dressing rooms and stuff. Yeah.
There's 39 episodes, right? Half-hour episodes, whatever. But there's all these other ones, because it came out of the Jackie Gleason show, which was all different types of sketches and all different types of characters. There's a lot of those episodes before and after it had its 3-season run or whatever, however long this run was. And the other ones are not, a lot of them are longer than a half hour or shorter and then just not as good. But somehow those 39, they just nailed every one of them. It's kind of incredible.
They say it was improvised.
No, it wasn't improvised.
It wasn't
He didn't like to rehearse. They would rehearse without him. Art Carney, Audrey Meadows, and Joyce Randolph. They'd rehearse without him. He didn't like to rehearse. But it was scripted. Sometimes they would, you can even see it still.
Yeah,
There's sometimes when he's reacting in the moment or going off.
Did he know his lines?
For the most part,
he did.
They shot at the Adelphi Theater, 152 West 54th Street. Okay. Maybe he shot his show there, though, where you're talking about.
Maybe they shot.
He might have did the Jackie Gleason show, but he didn't like to rehearse.
Well,
they rehearsed.
Listen, that's Andy, our producer. That doesn't mean he's fucking right. He's
not
always right.
Oh, he's right.
Not
Joyce Randolph
right.
is still. I had dinner with her at Chez Josephine a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think she's still alive. Actually.
Nice woman.
Is she alive, Andy? I hope so. I hope. Don't take this the wrong way. I mean, she would be the only one of that cast, but she was great. Yeah, she lived in that area.
And you just
West
ran
Side.
into her there.
My friend Jean-Claude, who owned the place, was friends with her.
Did you ask her questions?
Yeah, she told me that they,
Did she like Jackie Gleason?
Yeah,
she did.
And Gleason and Carney were good friends. They stayed friends. They were close. But Jackie was the boss.
Yeah.
He was the producer. He owned the show. He was very much the boss. You see him like move Norton out of the way, kind of, so he can do. She's 96 years old. Yeah. He kind of gives him so he can pace back and forth. It's kind of funny. And if you ever Google it, the wide shot of that set on the stage, because it's just like this flimsy little.
Yeah.
But when you see the wide shot and you see the back, the wings on the sides of the stage, it's kind of fascinating. There's live audience. They filmed it live. It's
there's
special, very special.
Icebox. There's a great interview on YouTube for when he got older. He died fairly young in his 70s, but he was smoking like 5 or 6 packs a day.
5 packs a day.
Yeah. It was 60 minutes. It's a great interview. Great interview. And he was down in Miami, and he was living there, and he was, doing a show, and a huge star, and 5 or 6 packs a day, drank heavy, lived the life he wanted to live.
Apparently, he didn't like to fly. He had his own railway car.
There you go.
He'd go from New York to Florida.
But he put Miami Beach on the map.
He did. They have the Jackie Gleason Theater that's down there. So,
he put Miami Beach on the map. And he was a very good dramatic actor, as he did some great roles.
Oh,
it wasn't just that.
I mean, The Hustler, he's just fantastic.
Great. There was some great
one
stuff.
One of my favorite movies.
He did stuff later on. Didn't he do one where he was Tom Hanks' father? One of his last movies?
Yeah. Which one was that? I don't know if I saw that.
Andy, one of Jackie Gleason's last movies with Tom Hanks.
And Arcarney did some great job. Harry and Tonto.
Oh, great stuff. And did he do Sunshine Boys?
Sunshine Boys, that was Lee Strasberg, Arcarney, and George Burns, right? Yeah.
No.
Wasn't
the Sunshine Boys.
No, not Sunshine Boys. I'm thinking of Going in Style. Going in Style was Lee Strasberg.
That was
Carney.
a good one. There was the second one that wasn't as good.
The Sunshine Boys was Mathau.
Yeah, but I think Arcarney might have did it on Broadway.
Sunshine Boys was Mathau and Lemon, wasn't it?
It was about the
Walter Matthau.
He was an old actor.
Nothing in common.
Nothing in common. A good movie. Tom Hanks.
Movie.
Jackie Gleason plays his father. Tony, AJ, and Artie are watching TV, eating pizza. They're laughing. They're having a ball. AJ's having a great time here. This is he's happy to be out of the house.
Yeah.
He's there with his dad.
They're eating pizza or whatever Artie's bringing over from the restaurant.
They're talking about Dutch ovens and.
It's like being in a
kind of like a frat house. But Tony tells AJ, "Go upstairs, do your Spanish homework." He says 15 minutes. AJ tries to stare him down.
He lays down the law, yeah.
Tries to stare him down right there. And I think Tony then realizes, so this is what Carmela's been talking about. He takes a shot. The kids will always take a shot at you. They're always testing your limits, Bada bing, back room, Tony and Sylvia at the desk. Feech arrives. He asks him, you have anything to do with that wedding takedown?
Yeah.
Why, is that a problem? When did I have to ask permission to ply my trade?
Hands him the money. Here's your end. When were you going to tell me that? It's the second time I'm playing catch up with you.
Then Johnny Sack told me about this guy in Newburgh. Anyway, gives me a better deal. Tony don't like to hear about Johnny Sack.
No, and he's out of line doing this wedding thing. It's a friend of Tony's.
Says, I told you, I thought he was just another pigeon. I'm trying to ease your transition, but Tony feels bad afterwards.
Yeah. And he says, in my day, and he's like, shut the fuck up. He gets hard on him.
Yeah. Feech apologizes, says, I still see you as a kid. I'll learn. They hug. Tony wants him gone.
Tony says, after he's gone, he realizes, he's done. He's done with this guy.
But he's also, they said, did I not learn anything about Richie Aprile, which he should have killed, really. Right. He gave him way too much leeway. Feech's house, Christopher and Benny arrived with a suit.
That's Lodi, Sydney Street in Lodi. That's where Feech's house was.
I'm having my wine and peaches. You want?
He calls us Olsen and Johnson, which was a vaudeville team. They did that movie called Hell's a Poppin'. They were friends, and they did vaudeville together for years, and they died within a year of each other, and they're buried
that's what's going to happen to us.
In Vegas, kind of side by side.
That's what's going to happen to us.
We'll die within a year.
Want to be died side by side? I'm not getting buried.
I'm not either.
No, you're not going to get buried?
No, I don't want that.
Oh, you said that. You're gonna have your ashes. You're going to put a little here, a little there. Right? Where do you want them again, you said?
I don't know. I mean,
Central Park.
Maybe Central Park, maybe some holy Buddhist site somewhere, maybe, yeah.
Okay. I think a funeral is a waste of money.
I agree.
Fucking pick out the box. It's so fucking gruesome.
And
everyone comes in, they get those prayer cards.
The grave site, and
the prayer cards. It's fucking horrible. A limo guy.
No, everybody should do what you're going to do. Do a testimonial where you tell off everybody who ever messed with you and screwed with you.
And and the funeral parlor, and I don't know, we got people from all over the world listening, and funerals are different everywhere. But here, especially Catholic or Italian, they Now they only do 1 day or 2 days.
2 days.
They
It
used to do
be
3 days or 4 days, where you go to the wake. You see it on The Sopranos, 2 to 5, 7 to 9.
The body's there.
And in between, the body's there. A lot of times it's an open coffin.
All made up and dressed
Made up. You don't never look the same. And then they go, hey, he looks good. Doesn't he look good? Hey, my mother, doesn't she look good? They did a hell of a job. They look terrible. They don't look good. The people are fucking, especially if they, God forbid, died of cancer, they have to stuff them with, the plastic piping.
But that's the custom. People
And
get
all
used
that.
to it. They feel
but
they
then,
have to
you know
do
what?
it.
After a few minutes, the people are crying in the front. They're in the back laughing, talking, joking.
Not always.
I know that. My point is a lot of people don't want to go. They go out of respect because they have to go. Otherwise, so-and-so's going to get mad if I don't show up and think, I don't want to go to this fucking funeral.
No, I know. It's
barbaric.
very uncomfortable.
It's barbaric to go. For people to have to go.
It's not easy. It's a big demand.
It's a horrible, horrible situation. My sister was screaming when my father died. She was like one of them that wanted to climb in the box, like a psycho. They want to climb in the box,
So Feech just says he will...
New Zealand peaches. He's got New Zealand peaches, Feech says.
And he says they kind of tease him with this truck and know he's going to go after it because he's a greedy guy and he just wants to grab what he can grab. They say flat screen TVs. He's going to get $2,000 and a TV out of it.
Greed. Greed is...
Greed will get
got
you.
him. Greed and, listen, the two biggest downfalls in life. Greed and ego.
Yeah, I agree.
Will get you every time.
Yes, it will.
It's the philosophy of Steve Sharip, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Also, there's 3 kinds of people in the world.
That's it? Only 3?
Givers, takers, and destroyers.
That's a very general, I don't know.
Givers, takers, and destroyers.
No, some people give sometimes and they take other times.
You could categorize
What's a destroyer?
women, men. What's a destroyer? You got some women that they give, they give and give and give and give, and they make you happy. And then there's women that just keep on taking and taking, and men. I'm not destroying women. Guys are just fucking takers, miserable takers. Destroyers are drama. They fucking destroy you. Your whole life, they'll cheat on you. A guy will cheat on you, have kids with other women. My father was a destroyer. Destroy the family. And if you categorize people, men and women now, you could say even your mother, go back to your grandmother. Your grandmother was probably a giver. Cooks, wants to make people happy. Well, you're a giver. You always do nice things for people, charities, this, that. You're looking at me like you don't believe me. You're mocking.
I'm not mocking. I just think this...
You don't like my philosophy.
I think there's...
I'm not a taker.
I think it's more complicated.
I'm not a taker. I give. I do a lot of favors for a lot of people.
There's sometimes when I contradict that. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't think it's 100% everybody.
I don't see you pushing people out of the way, fucking them over. Not that I know of. Maybe you do in your personal life when it's something I don't know about. I don't do that. I don't intentionally fuck anybody over. Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm doing that job with Steve. I want this amount. Fuck it. I'm going to make more than him. Too bad. I'm doing the podcast.
Who told you about that?
Yeah. I'm telling you. We'll go down the list. Get me a list of names. I'll tell you if they're givers, takers, or destroyers.
All right. That'll be a special episode. Give, take, or destroy. We're going to play a game. Give, take, or destroy.
Okay. Mock me all you want.
I'm not mocking you. I think there's something to it, but I just don't think you can fit everybody into one box.
Well, no. Some could be, you could also be a taker and a destroyer.
Can you be a giver and a destroyer?
No.
At times.
No.
Because the destroying negates all the giving you might have done.
Mitch Modell's a giver. He likes to see people have a good time. Gives them tickets, does things. Gives out.
I'm not mocking you. I'm just saying I've never heard this put this way, and I just think it's To me, there's more facets to everything.
right.
I don't know, but I think I understand the general statement.
I'm also
of
a no bullshit guy. I could cut all the bullshit away because it comes down to that. It honestly comes down to that.
Yeah, but sometimes you come up, you not everybody's perfect all the time, right? You make mistakes, you fail, you have,
I'm not talking about mistakes. And I said, like I said in one of the other episodes, everyone makes mistakes. Keep them to a fucking minimum.
That's a good one. I like that.
Keep the mistakes to a minimum.
I like that.
You don't have an infinite amount of mistakes you can make.
No.
You'll be a failure.
Yeah.
You know the old learn by your mistakes? If you learn by your mistakes, you're going to be a failure. You got to learn by other people's mistakes.
You learn from your mistakes and get beyond them, right? Yeah.
All right, we're in the restaurant. Dr. Wiggler.
You could be like
Fuck Dr. Phil. Out that
you
fucking.
could do something like. I mean, listen. You think this is basically what he probably tells people? Some of these guys. What do you
Common
think they say?
sense. Common sense.
This is the Macaroni Grill in Wayne. So now Mr. Wegler obviously made this reservation because Carmela never would. Do you think he's doing it? She's Italian. She's going to like the Macaroni Grill.
I don't think he knows any better. I don't know.
It's kind of funny.
Does he know any better?
I don't know.
I don't know. Have you ever eaten a macaroni grill?
No.
I have. I mean, I don't know where I was. I was in some town. I think I was in Chicago on a book thing. And
It's like the Olive Garden, right? Kind
yeah,
of.
that order. She took me to the lady there. Took me to the thing. It was, it's not great, but
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Dr. Wiggler and Carmela, they're having lunch. I don't know if he didn't get into a good enough school to interest him, and he dropped out, went to work as a waiter or something. So they're already giving up on this kid that he should be a waiter. Well, nothing wrong with being a waiter, by the way, but he should be a waiter. He could go to Trenton State, Ramapo. There are state schools in New Jersey, and like I say, you put into it. You get out of it what you put into it.
Of course.
Some of these schools here in New York City, Brooklyn College, Baruch, Queens College, they're as good as any other city college.
Of course.
They're as good as any other school anywhere,
Absolutely.
Just that they don't have the big campus. They don't have, the big Division I
endowments,
team.
yeah.
They don't have, do you know what I'm saying?
No, but if you get good teachers, you get a good education. Yeah.
So they give it up on him. Maybe, but also on the other hand, college isn't for everybody.
College is not for everybody, and there's different types of, higher education that you can,
She throws in her daughter's at Columbia. Always got to bring it up.
And she says, they accuse me of being a snob with this college business, but she kind of is.
She is a snob. He wouldn't last a week. My husband doesn't want that from either. You met him. My husband can be very magnetic, bigger than life. And I was so young. It was so exciting.
Right.
So you were married. She gets to it.
He was married. She's separated. And here she starts realizing there might be something more going on. Because she wasn't at first, I don't think.
No. Carmela's getting personal. Talks about Tony. Yeah. Then he recommends
Madame Bovary. It's about bourgeois emptiness and loneliness, which is very much what's going on with Carmela during this episode. She writes it down. She does this little chuckle, Edie, when she goes to write down the name of the book, and it's just so great. She's so natural, and it's a good scene between the two of them. It's really, really, really well acted.
These are two wonderful actors.
Yeah.
Wonderful actors. And she's smitten.
She's smitten, yeah. She likes the attention. She's talking about literature, talking about, college, and, it appeals to a certain side of her that she doesn't get from Tony.
Don't you think, okay, there's people like yourself, okay, you're into what you're into. You're what you read, what you listen to, you like museums, you like your artwork, the things that you like. And I think there's people that want to like that. I would love to be that guy, someone may say. But I think it has to be inside of you.
Well, you could appreciate those things on different levels. Some people, like, you may go to a museum and not know the style of painting that this, or the tradition that this is, or who the artist is,
Yeah,
or
but I
what
think
his
you could-
history.
I
But
could
you
think-
can just look at it as a thing of beauty and appreciate it.
Yeah, but I think you
without-
could educate yourself. There's people that would like to be that, but it's just not. You either like that, love that, have that inside of you, or you don't. I think Carmela wants to be this New York City, going to the theater, going to a great restaurant, go to the museum, go.
And she does those things.
She does those things, but
And
it's
enjoys
not
them.
inside of her. She's a Jersey
No,
girl
and you
from the
see that
suburbs.
in an episode with Meadow, where Meadows actually is that, and it's kind of like, Carmela almost embarrasses herself when they're talking about Billy Budd that time, in this intellectual conversation, and Carmela really kind of falls short, in terms of what they're talking
I was
about.
watching something, and they said, we're real New Yorkers. We live that New York lifestyle, which is the museum, the Broadway play, the thing that it's supposed to be. I mean, I don't think in those terms. I don't.
Well, you go to Broadway shows.
Yeah, but I like what I like. I like Broadway shows. I like a certain kind
I
of.
like theater. I
like a certain
museums.
kind
I
of
like
show.
music.
I'm not a certain kind.
Well, New York certainly has a lot of all that.
But you know what I'm saying. I mean, I think there's people want it, think they're supposed to have it, but it's just not. It's not me. Certain things aren't me.
Certain things aren't you, but some people, are open to trying at least.
Feech's house. We did this. Feech is fucked. He's fucked.
The parole guy comes, a new parole officer. Obviously, they were tipped off. He says the TV's a bequest. Is at your garage. It's where I make the weapons of mass destruction, referring to the beginning of the war in Iraq.
Only thing better about here is Russia. Than Russia is the food.
He's screwed, basically. Feech is screwed.
They tipped him off. They screwed
They
him.
got rid of him.
And that's that. Tony's house. Tony B, Artie, and AJ are watching TV.
They're eating chicken wings, watching baseball.
That's a Dutch oven. When you fart in bed with a woman and then you force her head under the covers. Have you ever done that?
No,
Never.
I don't even want to discuss that, please.
I've never done it either. I'm just asking you.
I've never heard of that. Somebody said, no, I've never heard of that.
Who do you think? Tony Kellum? You think she does that?
No, but didn't they mention that on the show once before?
I think we're going to have to ask Tony if she's ever been hotboxed or hotboxed someone.
Yeah, I guess.
Women get gas. You know that.
Everybody does, Steve. The bus. This is where he asks to stay, and he says, I'll go up in 15 minutes. No, now, go do your homework. AJ's pissed off and realizes that it's not just a boys' club. He's also the father, and he's the son, and he doesn't like that so much.
Kids are always testing. They're always testing. The bus features going back to prison. It's very sad. This is it for him. He's going to die.
He'll die in jail. He broke his parole. He ain't coming home. Sayonara. What? He
This
was
did
his
not
own
work
worst
out.
enemy.
But the people that go to jail for long periods of time, they always have a hard time adjusting, it seems.
Well, I don't think he had a hard time adjusting. I think he was just stupid, and greedy. Instead of reading what's going on, Tony's the boss. He's been away a long time. All right, here's the structure. Tony's the boss. Ease your way in, but his ego, like you said, and greed was his downfall. I don't think it was that he was not adjusted to being on the outside.
Shawshank Redemption.
No, I think he was just
Morgan Freeman's character.
He was just a greedy, egomaniac.
Sad, though, seeing him on the bus. He's handcuffed. Let me ask you something. Don't you think... I'm rewriting the show, so I'm fucking wrong. But I think they would have been better off killing him. There's always a risk when you kill someone, but isn't there a risk here that Feature's not dumb? He knows he got set up. He's on that bus going back. Isn't there a shot that he might snitch? He's old school, I know.
What's he gonna snitch on?
Listen, their operation. I mean, he's old school.
He doesn't. There's not much he could snitch on. I mean, to snitch, you have to be, you have to have evidence. That's why you wear the wire. So he could say, yeah, well, I stole the cars. Tony didn't steal the cars. What's he going to say? They have a card game. They don't give a shit about the card game.
I guess. Bada bing, back room. Tony arrived. Silvio just got the call. They put him on a corrections bus this morning. This was the better move than taking him out.
Christopher agrees it was a better move, which Tony doesn't really give a fuck. He says, I'm not running a popularity contest.
Tony's annoyed. He's still annoyed at it. Christopher agrees, by the way. I don't know why he said that.
I don't know.
Soprano house. Carmela's parking the car in the driveway. She's got a bag of groceries. Sees a flashback of young AJ on a bike going down the driveway. She walks into an empty house.
La Petite Mère is the song by Titi.
Very
Robin.
sad.
Maybe he said Chrissy agrees because Chrissy, set it up. Yeah, a really great
Toni
episode.
Kellum, I know she was a story editor on a few.
And an actress, and wrote a really good script here. And Rodrigo Garcia directed a gem. That's a good one.
Very good episode. Now is the time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of our AMA Best Question is from Kirk from Mumbai, India. Wow.
Yeah, all the way on the other side of the world.
And we're sending Kirk a pair of Bose headphones.
Kirk.
Mumbai.
Yeah.
Have you been to Mumbai?
I have not been to India, but not Mumbai. But I think it's very cool that fans are listening
Wow.
all the way across our planet. Kirk asks, this is really a question for you. Aside from the... so look, I picked the question of the week this week, and I picked a question for you. Okay? So never say that it's all about me, and
So
I
there's
don't want
more,
it to be...
more work for me to do. I got to fucking answer
Oh, that's
the
why, right. So I don't have to worry about it. No,
Okay.
Aside from the odd murder here and there, Bobby Bacala was the only truly good-natured character. He went above and beyond with Junior's care, never had a gumar, never had an ego, unlike Steve, at least not like the rest of them. His character stood out to me amongst the rest for that. He even has an innocuous hobby, unlike the rest. Why do you think he still stuck around with the mob? How did he manage to not get unsullied with the hate around him? He seemed like the only non-psycho sociopath in the crew.
Well, first of all, Bobby only killed one person.
One that we know, or that
No,
the
only
guy
one
up
person.
in Montreal, right, in Canada?
That's it. And that was because he, after beating up Tony,
Tony wanted to show him
Soprano
who's
home
boss.
movies, he had no choice. Tony said, no more bow and arrow. You got to...
And Tony wanted to show you who's boss in a way, right?
Absolutely. And I think if Bobby said no to that, he might have got killed or been excommunicated.
Or demoted and humiliated or something.
Because you know and I know, I mean, it's possible that they kept it among themselves. Only the four of them knew about this fight. And the housekeeper, the nanny.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But he still had to...
I don't think that... How does Tony go back and they go back to, Jersey and the word gets out that Bobby Bacala beat up the boss?
No good.
That's a no-no. Right? You don't hear somebody, somebody beat up Paul Castellano or somebody beat up
No. John Gotti, no,
John
no,
Gotti
no,
or
no.
Vinny the Chin.
That would never happen.
Right? That would never happen. Yeah, they got into a... So, okay, it was his brother-in-law. That stayed where it was. Sure of it.
So that's the only person...
That's the only person he killed was that kid from in Montreal. Okay? He was forced to by Tony. He had no other choice.
His father was a killer.
Father was a killer, a murderer.
Tough
His
guy.
father took care of Junior before him. He was Junior's probably driver, right-hand man, played by Burt Young,
Right.
who is, I don't know how old Burt is, probably 15 years younger. Bobby Sr. was 15 years younger than Junior. Took care of him, drove him. He kind of inherited Junior. I think that's brought up in an episode.
From his father.
From his father. His father went down to Florida. His father got sick, and he inherited him. At the beginning, Tony didn't like Bobby. He threatens him. He says, we're going to find you in 8 different dumpsters. He says, you go back and you come out of your mouse hole. They were hiding out, remember? And he tells Bobby to go to Junior and give him this message.
All right.
And about the Shylock and about this, and this. As time went on, I think Tony liked Bobby because he was taking care of Junior, and he was reliable, and he married the sister.
And he pretty much does what he's told. He's, he doesn't make waves. He doesn't really,
Bobby, made threats. He's a big guy. Made threats. He says he's done other stuff. Why did he stay with it? I don't think there's no getting out of this. Like Junior has that great line when Bobby says, I'm worried about my father. He's got to come up and do this hit, and he's been retired for 7 years. And Junior has a great line. What is this? We're in the Navy? That you retire after 7 years, So there's no getting out of this thing. We saw what happened to Eugene. Eugene tried to get out.
He wanted to go to Florida. He wanted to get out,
Florida,
reinvent himself.
There's no getting out.
Even he was going to pay, and make it, no.
This is the last stop on the board. There's no checking out of Soprano land.
No.
You're in. Bobby's also privy to a whole lot of stuff here. He's seen a lot going on. Then he marries Janice. He's sitting at Tony's right, to the right of Tony, moving up the ladder.
And there's something very smart about. I think
in one way, I don't think he was as dumb as they thought.
I don't think he was dumb. I think he just was. That's his personality. He like I said, he didn't want to make waves. He didn't want to, he was a good father. He was a good husband.
He saw someone to take care of his kids, who he loved very much. He picked Janice, but then maybe on the other hand.
But Janice also laid it on and kind of came on like she was, in his time of need.
Yeah, listen, and on the other hand, now every Sunday he's sitting next to the boss.
He's with the boss, and it did help him, and he did give him a promotion at one point.
The boss's ear. He gets the beautiful house.
He got Johnny Sack's house.
Things are pretty good for Bobby before he gets killed.
Right.
He's got the train. He's got a train hobby.
And also, you grew up around these guys. You grew up around crazy people and killers, and you understand that lifestyle. And your father had some of that, and you accepted him. So it's not like it's a foreign world that you know.
No, but this world is very insular.
Very insular.
It's very, very much so. It's the mob. I mean, they marry each other, and they've known each other for a long time, and there's a lot of marriages, cousins.
Right, and there's also among the 5 families in New York, you can't really marry another there's that too,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I don't know if that's still, but because I know someone who I know a woman who grew up in that and said, yeah, it was very much like you don't.
But if you notice, like a lot of times there's the guy dies or gets killed, and that wife will marry another wise guy.
Right.
In the family. This isn't, she's not going out marrying a banker. You know what I mean? It's very in this world. Yeah. I mean, they're not stepping outside the family so much. They're all in this kind of thing, and they understand it. And Bobby understands it. I mean, he's in.
That's his world.
He's in, and now he's married to, we talked about who Janice would be married to afterwards, and it's going to be another one. It was Richie Aprile, it was Ralph Cifaretto, and it was Bobby Bacala.
And, also from what I understand, not every guy who's a made guy is necessarily a tough guy. There are guys who are very smart, who are good in this business or that, who are good bookmakers, who are good with odds, who are good with, with unions and all that stuff.
They're not all killers, no.
No, and they rely on these guys to make money.
They're
good with the unions. They're good with construction. They're good at organizing businesses and stuff like that. They're good with restaurants. Some of them are made guys. They might never be called upon to do any kind of dirty work.
Well, look at in Casino. The one De Niro played, Ace, but his real name was Rosenthal. And he was as powerful a guy as anybody. He's a huge earner for the mob, the Chicago mob.
Couldn't be made, though, because he wasn't Italian, right?
But huge earner.
Huge earner.
Carried a big swinging dick and was very powerful. I don't know, but I don't think he killed anyone. That wasn't his. He was in the gambling end, the bookmaking end, in that part. Big money, big decisions to be made. He was powerful in that way.
Right.
You know, not everybody's powerful in the strong army way, you know.
Exactly. So, and I think there are guys who were made for that reason, that they would, they would
Big earners.
big earners, and there was something.
You know, they also can, businessmen
Yeah.
have these construction companies,
Sure.
have car services, have all these wedding halls. They're all mobbed up.
Sure.
They're brilliant businessmen. Some of these guys, they said Persico was absolutely brilliant. Could have been the CEO of one of the top
Big corporation,
corporations.
yeah. Sure.
He was that brilliant of mind.
Sure.
So there you go.
So there you go. Kirk from Mumbai, you're going to get a pair of headphones. Thank you for the question. We appreciate it.
Very nice. Thanks for listening. Remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to Talking Sopranos Podcast on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. You know, the last I looked, we were at like 105, 106,000 subscribers on YouTube.
That's fantastic.
It's coming along. It's coming along.
That's great.
You know, people ask, are you going to continue the podcast past, the 86 episodes? I don't know.
I don't know.
Self-help?
I'm just trying to get through
What do you
this.
think about
I'm
life
just trying
coaches?
to get through today.
You think should we become life coaches?
You can do that. You obviously have a
Life coaches?
you have an affinity for that. You have an aptitude, it seems, too. You're able to talk.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Like us on Facebook. Right now, you get official Talking Sopranos merchandise, including a Steve Shripper Motherfucks the World mug hosted by Michael Imperioli on TalkingSopranos.com or through our YouTube channel.
Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman, producers Andy Verderam. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amerton. You could hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together, by clicking the links at TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Ty Verderam and Sierra Sharippa. We record Talking Sopranos at NYC Podcasting, which is New York's premier podcasting studio. Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production.
All right.
See you next week.
It was a good episode. I enjoyed it.
Me too.